Hello.
Hi.
Hey,
Happy Thursday.
Kumusta kayo,
happy
guys?
Thursday.
Okay naman.
Happy
How about
Thursday.
you?
Okay naman.
We're doing good.
Yes.
So, good evening, everyone. And happy Thursday. It's my next gym finale. So,
Yes.
7 episodes are finally done. And it looks like it's confirmed naman na meron na tayong season 2. Naglalag talaga ako.
Di pa naman, di ko halata.
It's okay.
Pero I felt it in my brain. Naglag talaga ako. Sabi ko, I'm trying to say. Ano ba yan? And finally, we've come to the resolution or the final episode. So we're not gonna have a Benex Gym next week. So I don't know. What are we gonna do for Thursdays next week, guys?
I don't know. Bahala na.
Yeah. Yes, Nico?
Alam mo naman tayo very random. So whatever comes, we just go and
Comes.
live anyway.
Right. So I guess it's also something na parang in a way it's also a good thing so that we can wind down a little bit because there are going to be some new shows and there are going to be some people who might want to take a break as well. So okay lang.
Right.
Ayan. But overall, what did we think about the episode? Ay, yung mga initial impressions natin. Hey, Al! Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Oh, ang dami
Rafi's
na...
also here.
Oh, hi, Rafi.
Maglalabas sila ng mga sa loobin nilang lahat.
Oh my God. Randy,
Yes.
oh my God, hi.
Yeah, Randy, nakailang hashtag siya
TJ
dito.
Natics.
TJ Natics forever. Yeah.
Yes.
Dami. And then, siguro we'll just go down. No? So, Joji Campos was here earlier. Daniel of Alesco. Elzar.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Charlton. Yes, kanina. She just finished, actually. And yeah, okay. And then we have Chris kanina and hello, BBs. Ready na ako mag-ingay sa chat. Sir Will, hey! And Rian is here as well. Nakaka-vertigo yung finale.
So, Chris, ilabas na lahat. Parang awa mo na.
Explain yan.
Bring it out, man. Bring it out.
Okay.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, we can start with WAP. We can do WAP, or we can also do like delighters, satisfiers, or mummers. What do you guys think?
Like, but
siguro I would like to
start with that para medyo light lang.
Okay.
Yeah. Sige.
So for me, delighters, I really liked there was sort of like, well, I'm speaking for the entire season or for the entire series. No? Parang I like that there's like introductory what do you call that? Lines or speeches or statements. Tapos parang if you think about it, parang pag pinagtagpi mo sila, it's really sort of like a story. So if I may,
sure, yes you may.
Medyo I took it down. I took note of it kasi.
Go ahead.
If I'm gonna read the entire thing, and this is from episode 1 to episode 7. No? Parang
yeah. Wow.
So because there's a line for each episode, diba? So episode 1.
Go.
Kung bibigyan ka ng pagkakataon na magmahal ng malaya, pero marami kang masasagasaan, susugal ka ba?
That's episode 1.
Okay.
Kung hindi pa tapos, kung noon mo ako tinanong, malamang ang sagot ko hindi. Yan. So, episode 1, as we know, it's all about yung parang yung build up to the meeting, di ba? So, kumbaga, parang Ben knows that Jim is coming back. So, the entire episode is basically about that. And we have the introductory for Flo and for Nanay Elma. Di ba? And so, episode 2. Pero iba pala pag dumating na yung taong nararamdaman mong para sa'yo. Para sa mismong pagkakataon na yun, gusto mong tumalon. Ayan. So, di ba, nandito na si Jim. So, parang ito na yung opportunity, yung nararamdaman mong para sa'yo, tapos gusto mo nang mag-take that leap. Right? And then, episode 3, at kapag tumalon ka, iba ang saya. Iba yung
fairness, tuloy-tuloy siya.
Di ba?
May continuity siya.
May continuity. Iba yung pakiramdam. Parang bahala na ang mundo. Ang mahalaga ay kasama mo ang mahal mo. So, remember, Episode 3
Ooh.
is the after is the after naglalag talaga ako. Yung nangyari after the confrontation with Leo. So
Yes.
now they're together, they're sleeping, they slept together in the same bed, and they were stargazing, they have that conversation, di ba?
Yeah.
All right. And then episode 4. Kapag lunod na lunod ka na sa sarap, kung kailan darang na darang ka na sa ligaya ng pagmamahal.
Yes, darang.
Biglang may darating na magpapaalala sa'yo na pwede matapos ang lahat.
Yeah.
And this is the episode where we have Yana coming in.
Okay.
In the anniversary thing or dinner, whatever. Diba? It goes on. Episode 5. Ang pinakamalala kapag nagmahal, habang hindi mo pa kayang patayin ang nararamdaman mo, mas lalong tumatagal ang sakit na nararanasan mo.
Yes.
Because this episode, this was when, the night before, di ba, umamin si Ben. Tapos he felt rejected, so he took back what he said. So this episode is when they sort of like, tulala sila pareho, hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin. So medyo estranged sila from one another. Right?
Okay.
And then episode 6. Kaya minsan, kahit alam mong masasaktan ka, kahit posibleng magbago ang lahat, sumusugal ka pa rin kasi masarap magmahal. Yeah. And this is the episode wherein Jim admits that he felt the same way. That he didn't respond properly that time when Ben admitted to him that he loved him. Right? Okay. And then finally, we have episode 7. Pero minsan, kailangan mo na rin umatras kasi marami nang masasaktan. So this is the rejection. Correct. This is the rejection, right? But of course, that quote isn't complete because that quote was only about the portion wherein they had to sort of like go parang separate. And that was about the portion wherein Ben had to reject Jim for the sake of, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I will talk about that later on. Because he didn't want to hurt Jim, because he didn't want the families to be at war or be at odds. So yeah, I think you mentioned kanina parang Romeo and Juliet, right? The warring families and such. So, yun na nga eh. But then, of course, we know that the resolution to that is that they still got together. And then there was that long... so anyways, that's what I liked about this. That's one of the things that I liked about the series, is that there was sort of like a continuity in terms of the story, at least based on the quotes that we were listening to or hearing or getting from the first part of the episodes, right? And if you look at the episodes, they all tie to that particular statement for that particular episode. So in that sense, parang it gives me sort of like a feel that they really were intended. I mean, the entire thing was really intended to be some sort of continuity, that it had a certain flow, that it was all laid out. Now, in the terms of the execution, maybe because it was episodic and there were some things that sort of like were question marks for us, then at least parang hindi siya napadtagpi-tagpi until we saw everything. Ayun. So parang, yun. That's one of the things that I liked about it. Now, what about you guys?
Ako talaga, gumawa talaga ako ng Excel sheet, mama. Ayoko na ipakita sa kanila.
Yung Excel sheets.
May WAP, di ba may WAP criteria tayo? Nilagay ko lang yung Excel with scoring and averaging, ganon. Tapos, parang highest ko in terms of score. Kasi I want to be objective. Ayoko naman tipong, di ba? Kasi minsan I miss out some details. Like, you guys are so specific with the details. Ako kasi nakakalimutan ko na eh. So parang, I would rather go for something objective, just like, like scoring or what, no? So parang overall, like, sa WAP kasi natin, writing, acting, and then production, the highest for me is around 9.60 something. That's for acting. Parang, 9.33 like average. To me kasi parang, napaka-effective ng acting. In terms of plot naman, it's a satisfier for me. Because kumbaga they actually hit the expectations eh. 'Di ba? Parang I think Mike, you mentioned this before we went live, that it's what we like, what we expected. Like they ended up together. Parang it wasn't really a sad ending. Even the the narrative on the affair between the dad and the other dad, diba? Diba? May nag-comment nito last time, diba? Na parang,
Yes, we did.
Diba? We were asking some of our friends over here, what would be the episode 7 ending? Ano kayo magiging itsura nito? And then one of them made mention na baka the dads had an affair, diba? Parang ganun. Sabi ko, ang galing naman nito, na preempt. So sa akin, parang I feel like it's very regal entertainment. The plot is very it's within a formula eh. Parang they follow a certain formula and equation. That's why we're able to preempt the ending. Kumbaga, it's something that we expect to happen. Diba ganun naman usually ang pelikula eh. No? So, to me, it's kumbaga, it's like an artwork, but it's a very precise artwork. Right? I'd like to compare this to Gaya sa Pelikula. Si Gaya sa Pelikula kasi very unpredictable eh. Parang it went beyond our expectations. Ito kasi, parang it's within our expectations. Parang it's within a box. It didn't actually challenge the formula or the cinema storytelling box eh. Parang it just went around that. And to me, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So, to me, in terms of plot, and I have to agree with Mikey also, na ang ganda nung pagkakatagpi ng mga quotes eh, no? Parang it made sense.
Yes.
It made the entire narrative, and I have to agree. But to me kasi, there's nothing new to it. There's nothing new in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the plot. Parang sabi nga natin kanina, parang it felt like the Romeo and Juliet kind of preemptive plot na parang alam mo may mamamatay, pero hindi pala. They ended up like happy together, and it also gave me like the G-Mick days kind of story, di ba? Mga Camille Prats, John Prats, Stefano Mori kind of gano'n talaga siya eh. Di ba?
Mga teeny bopper days, gano'n.
Ano paghalataan edad natin.
TGIS, ano pa, matabing ilog, mga gano'n.
Exactly, parang gano'n. Hindi naman siguro TGIS, parang sort of TGIS, parang gano'n. Pero ako kasi natuwa ako sa G-Mick eh, so super love ko ang G-Mick before. Parang gano'n yung feels niya, very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it's nice, diba? But yung delighter kasi sa akin, acting talaga. I'll give it to Jerome Ponce. That's one. Number 2, I'll give it to Kat Galang talaga. Undeniably.
Yes.
She was like the best friend for me. I mean, I'm a sucker for acting talaga. I'm sorry. I think some of us may be kumbaga forgiving when it comes to like the production. Some of us will say na okay lang ako sa acting, basta my story, my message. Ako talaga, I'll really go for acting. Honestly, I'll really go for acting. Acting is a big thing for me. It's acting and story for me. Production is something that I can really like just set aside. Okay na yan kahit pangit, ganyan. Basta sa akin, merong maganda ang acting, maganda ang execution, maganda ang kwento. Yeah. So, but to me, satisfier for me is the plot, the writing. Yung acting talaga is really the delighter for me. Parang yun yung stronghold talaga ng series na to.
Yun. Yeah, I have to agree. I think they really shone in terms of their acting, diba? Yeah. Siguro in terms of the entire thing, siguro if I were to rate or sort of like rank them according to acting, parang number 1 talaga sa akin si Jerome. Okay. Second would be I'm actually torn between Kat Galang and TJ.
Okay.
But I guess I'm gonna go with Kat Galang. I don't know, parang I feel somehow that she is more natural, at least in terms of her role. And then next would be TJ. And then Olan.
Olan.
I love Olan. Actually, I love Olan. I mean, he's such a perfect fit for his character. I mean, the way that he's kind of awkward and sort of like unassuming and also very sincere and honest. Alam mo yun, parang he wears his emotions or his heart on his sleeve. So, alam mo yun, parang ang galing lang talaga. Yana, I thought, at least in terms of the character that was given to her, because she played sort of like clueless blonde girl to a T. I mean, yeah. And then finally, Nanay Elma. I think there were some very good comedic, I think, asides there. But I think for this part, medyo mababa siya ng konti. Or she took it down a notch for me because when she approached Ben and said, "Uy, Ben, baka magpatayan na sila." Parang, ma'am, kung talaga magpapatayan sila, where's the sense of urgency? parang sinasabi mo lang na umuulan. Parang ganon. So, mga ganong bagay. But I really thought that they really fit their roles really well.
Yep.
So yun nga eh. Pero I guess one thing that I think could have been better here in the acting, when Ben and Jim, are we going to, hindi naman bummer talaga. Satisfier.
Okay.
Yung satisfier part here would be when they were talking over the fence. And I felt that the build up to Jim's crying was a bit long. I kind of felt like parang, is it coming? Is he crying? Or parang, I was waiting for it to happen. Tapos parang it drew a little bit longer than I expected. Ayun.
Right.
And then also in the car scene when he was driving away, parang yun din. Parang I felt na it was a little bit prolonged as well. But then again, you know what? It could have been a one-off, and also it doesn't really tarnish the entire performance.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Yun. Lance.
Yeah, I mean, you said mostly everything already I'm about to say, pero I think in this episode particularly, there were two quotes said by Kat Galang that really struck me, and I think if they follow that, you won't even have a story. Totoo lang.
True. Like,
let me read the quotes. I think that the first quote that she said was, "Truth is the only force as powerful as time. Time may heal you, but truth will also do the same in one blow." That's before that, she said, "Nothing in this world can ever set us free. Not love, not peace, not wealth. It's truth. It's the only force as powerful as time itself."
yeah.
So, and I felt like it's a good finisher for the whole episode series na rin, kasi it's the antithesis of what was supposed to happen, or what happened, kumbaga. If at day 1 pa lang, at episode 1 pa lang, Ben followed that same advice that Kat Galang would have given siguro, there would have been no story. I mean, it could have, we would have jumped from episode 1 to this episode agad.
Right.
That quick.
And if you think about it, I mean, it ties up to what happened in the past, diba? Parang they were in the dark about the truth of what happened to the mom and to the parents, to the reason why the parents left for the States, and why Kevin, the dad, and Jim, Jim went to Davao, right? The truth was basically that the two had an affair. The dads had an affair. And sorry, I failed to mention, if you guys haven't watched the episode, sorry, these are spoilers. So you've already seen it. That's why we're talking about it. But yun nga, parang it was basically all about the truth being hidden from all the rest of them, right? And also, I guess, and that's one of the things that I liked about this episode as well, is that Ben finally owned up to his truth. I mean, there were 3 truths that he owned up to, or, parang admitted. But basically, the main truth was really that he needed to be true to himself, and he needed to be true to Jim. Because that was basically the thing that was keeping them apart, diba? And yun nga, parang I think that it could have gone sooner. But like we mentioned, really, if it had gone sooner, or if they had really followed that tenet or that principle, then we wouldn't have the story, or the story wouldn't have prolonged, or there would have been no conflict. So basically, that's it. No, parang, I mean, if you really tie it all up together, it's basically about, number 1, what is your truth, and number 2, what truth should we be willing to fight for, or what truth should we be willing to share to other people? And because, admittedly, I felt that the truth could have been said sooner. But then yun nga, parang it's easy for an outsider to be able to say that. But if, for example, if I were in Ben's situation, I don't know if I would have done what he did, or if I would have done what I think should have happened, right? Because yun nga, parang in a way, if you're not in that situation, then you can't really say for sure, diba? Pero I think, at least from an outsider's point of view, it felt like a little bit that he should have gone with the truth from the get-go. Diba? Kasi parang either way, if you take a look at it, diba? Parang, number 1, if he doesn't say the truth, they're fucked, right?
Yep.
Now, if he had told the truth, and if they were fucked, then it would have amounted to the same thing. But at least Jim would have known the truth about the past. Diba?
Right.
And they could have moved forward with that truth. in their hearts, and I mean in their, parang at least there is peace of mind with what happened in the past, and parang so. But anyway, that's just me. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with Mikey naman. Yeah.
I agree with you then. Parang, I think it's basically, that's the whole thing eh. That's the whole plot of love and the love story. It's usually the truth that you carry. So, and nagkataon lang, they're playing Shadows and Mirrors. So, Smoke and Mirrors. So,
Hi, Maddie.
Hey, Maddie.
Long time.
Hi, Mahal din.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and the biggest smokes and mirrors that they played in this episode was June 5, 2015.
Okay. I still don't know what the significance. Yes, Rafi. I still don't know what the significance is. So,
yes.
I guess they're gonna keep us hanging until the second season, right?
I don't know, maybe.
Right?
But let's. Yeah, it is basically confirmed. Easy for actually tweeted about it already.
Okay.
So here's the thing now. Parang we've all been thinking, what is June 5, 2015? So was it an event? Was it, let's say, well, it's basically a memorable date. So what happened during that date? So we know that number one, it's the Wi-Fi password for Ben's Wi-Fi. No?
Yeah.
And then in this episode, we saw a flashback of Jim looking at that piece of paper where the date was given, diba? And then segue into Jim.
A video montage.
Correct. We think it was Jim doing a voiceover, and then there's a video montage of their memories together. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm still not sure why Ben was the one who gave the date to Jim, and Jim is the one narrating after the date is shown in the end credits. So basically, if we were to separate that date, if we were to disregard the date, it is basically Jim sort of like giving us a flashback of his sort of like memories of the two of them together.
Yeah.
So basically, it's sort of like a love letter, and it's sort of like his perspective on their relationship or their love story. So, if I may, I would read because I also took it down.
Ay, inaban mo yan.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Wait
he said,
ipo-focus kita, ma? Hindi?
Go na.
hindi, okay, wag na.
Push, Nico, push.
Joke lang.
So he said,
Dear Ate Mike, kumide.
ayan. So he said, ang bawat importanteng araw para sa ating dalawa, ang bawat panahon na ninanamnam natin, ang pagsasama, lahat yun nasa utak ko, nasa puso ko.
Yes.
Kahit gaano man kahaba ang panahong lumipas, o nawala, o nasayang, hahabulin ko.
Yes.
Iipunin ko. Nawala ako at nahanap mo ako. Nalito ako pero nilinaw mo sa akin ang lahat. Kaya kahit saan man ako makarating, kahit gaano katagal man ako naglalagalag, uuwi at uuwi pa rin ako sa'yo.
Yes.
That's really beautiful, actually.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How do I translate that? How do I translate that into English?
Ilagay mo sa group sa iyo, translate sa English.
Can I translate it into English?
Mikey, I suggest ilagay natin sa tweet yan. Gawa natin ng thread yan sa Twitter natin.
But
I think that's nice. I like that.
I just wrote it down because I was typing as he was saying it. So it doesn't have the proper punctuation. So I don't know if I said it right because the cadence and the rhythm and the pauses could change the meaning of it all. Right. But I'm gonna go ahead and start typing it and then I'll put it in the chat. But the gist of it for the international audience is every day that we were together, every moment I cherish and I keep it in my mind. I keep it in my heart. No matter how long the time that we kahit gaano man kahabang panahon lumipas. No matter how long the time passes, or gone or wasted, I will chase after it. I will gather it. I was lost and you found me. I was confused, but you cleared everything up for me. So no matter where I go, no matter where the time takes me, or no matter how long I wander, I will always and always come back to you. I think that's what it means.
Yeah,
Pero,
the same
alam mo yan,
thought. Yeah.
yung uuwi at uuwi pa rin ako sa'yo,
Yeah.
this was also echoed in one of the episodes wherein they were doing the thing for Yana. They were doing the board thing for Yana, right? And then Jim was thanking Ben for letting him use the things that he was selling, diba? Parang the plates, the happy anniversary banner, etc. And then he said something like, "Wag ka mag-alala, wifey. Sa'yo pa rin naman na uuwi." Parang something like that. Yeah. I was like, so okay, so that's sort of like, it was a foreshadowing of this quote or this statement. But basically, when he said that, it basically meant that he really meant it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. So that's a
dami kong
really beautiful quote.
Yeah, I mean,
Diba?
it's a beautiful quote, and it could be that date could be the first time that he realized he was falling for Ben.
Right. Wait,
but then again, the date was the Wi-Fi password of Ben's Wi-Fi. So I don't know. I don't know.
Help us understand. Yes.
Direk,
Wait.
are you here? Are you watching Direk? Can you
Direct
put it in the chat? Can you put
please.
it in the chat? Because I tweeted it and then he said, "Yeah, hey, I'm gonna be watching" or something. So if you are here, can you DM us or put it in the chat? I don't know. I don't know what it means.
My overall thoughts lang siguro ako. Like I'd like to flash this comment by Rafi. Sabi niya kasi, the lighting in the series really carries the atmosphere of its characters. I like the fact that when Ben told his truth, everything was well lit. Okay, ito yung insight ko. Overall, looking at it, and like hearing you, Mikey, and then Lance, no, and then like all the comments also here, I think that Ben X Jim is so precise and well thought out, I guess. Parang it's like in a box, na parang ginupit siya in a way that it's within this, a certain parameter, right? It's well thought out from beginning to end. Like even the quote, diba? Parang napagtagpi natin to lahat all together. It all makes sense all together, diba? Tama ba ako? I mean, is it safe to assume that they all shot this with a plan in mind, that they're gonna do it for 7 episodes? Tama ba?
Yeah, I think
so. I think so.
Ganun siya,
I think they did.
Kasi like compared to other series, parang 'di ba nag-adjust naging flexible. They added more episodes depending on the demand of the audience and viewers, the likes of Game Boys, 'di ba? Ito kasi parang it's so precise, yun yung naramdaman ko. Even scenes like mga lights na eksenang ganyan, 'di ba? It's symbolic and it's metaphorical, but it's well thought out, 'di ba? So ako parang I'm not sorry for the lack of term. It's kind of safe for me. It's not that exciting. I wasn't really that crazy, but I'm kind of happy. I'm okay. I think yun yung sinabi ni Mikey, parang I'm okay with the entire season or the like everything, diba? Pero I wasn't really that crazy. Parang wala siyang aftertaste, kumbaga. Parang it's not gonna leave any mark at all sa akin. Parang tomorrow makakalimutan ko na siya, I guess.
Yeah, it's like you've been through a roller coaster and suddenly, okay, it stopped. Okay, I forgot about the roller coaster afterwards.
Yeah.
I'd also like to comment on the lighting, no? Yes. But I think siguro color in general. I think in terms of color, we've noted na nga that if it's Ben, it's blue, and if it's Jim, it's green, diba?
Naka-green ako. Charot lang.
Correct. And ako,
naka-team 9 ako ngayon. I'm team 9, sorry.
I'm team
Nagluluksa po ako.
Like for everyone.
Yes. Go.
So yun nga, parang even in sort of like the light, I mean, when we talk about lighting, it's not just the color grading, but it's also the spotlight that's put on them sometimes, diba? For example, pag nandun sila sa treehouse or nandun sila sa mga windows nila, parang the lighting is always greenish for Jim and then bluish for Ben. right?
Yes.
Also, they're very consistent in that in terms of the colors of the shirts, diba? So we also see that. So we also have like a color scheme for all of the characters. So Ben and Jim have green and blue, and then we have yellow or mustard for Flo. If you notice,
Yes.
even in the
Yes.
last episode, she was wearing a mustard one
True.
dress. I don't know what that's called. But then
Consistent,
for
eh, no?
Yana as well, we have your pastel, which is usually purple. And then for
Mhm.
Olan, it's usually red, diba?
Red, yes.
All right. Now, in terms of this particular episode, I noticed that when Jim, or Ben rather, was looking out the window, he was looking at Jim, and then Jim was looking back. And that was a scene wherein Leo sort of like showed up in the frame as well. Ben was actually using a green shirt. So I don't know if that was intentional, if that was a miss, or if that basically meant that he was sort of like.
I naman tayo sa blue curtain argument.
I know, right? So did it mean nothing? Because we've always seen him wear a blue shirt. Now he was wearing a green shirt, and what confused me was he was wearing that at the time when he was in a way sort of like cheating on Jim. So I don't know how to interpret that. I don't know how to interpret that.
Did you read the word on the shirt itself? It said loyalty.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So
loyalty on the green. That's Ben. And I think every shirt, if you notice, if you go back to the shirts, they have a T in the shirt.
Yeah.
Like for this episode, we had "My bad, not sorry."
My bad, not sorry.
And it's a darker hue of blue. And it's like the mine color of black. Parang medyo blackish blue siya.
Right. So it's sort of like leaning towards Leo, I guess, because it's a darker shade of blue. But yun nga eh. I mean, that green, that bench shirt got me thinking. So are we saying, because the term loyalty is there, are we saying that even though he was physically with Leo, that his heart and his whole being was crying out, Jim? Is that what it means? I don't know. I mean, my brain is hanging, and I don't know. But I have too many tabs open in my head, so I don't know. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts, if you have any other thoughts about that, guys, go ahead and do that. But one thing that
sorry.
Yes, in this last episode, this is the only time that we see him wear rainbow colors.
Rainbow colors.
It's rainbow colors. Yeah.
He's accepting who he is now.
Right. Because now he has already sort of like accepted his truths. He has revealed it to the world. He has accepted it. He's taken responsibility for it. So now he is fully himself. So he is fully colorful and a unicorn. Char. Right.
Pero in that photo too, there's a controversy.
Go ahead, Lance.
Yeah, because I think I'm sharing the same sentiments with the people in the chat, saying that I would have loved it if you know what they did with the other series. Na they cut it the moment before their lips touched and leave it to the imagination of the people. I would have loved it if they'd done it that way. Because with this one, I could see that it was stitched somehow because of the greens, maybe. So it felt kind of stitched, like they had to move their heads a little bit closer.
Wait lang, i-focus nga natin yan. Wait ha.
Zoom check mo sa baba. Zoom in ka sa baba. There's a shade of green.
The reason why. That thought did cross my mind as well because the color grading suddenly changed. Like the greens.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the previous frames, the lighting was bright, no?
True.
And then here, suddenly parang the background became a little bit hazier or grayish, and then you have that pop of color. Now, it could be two things really. Parang the first thing could be that they really wanted to emphasize that Ben is really, the color, his world has become more colorful. That could be one thing. But the other thing is, correct, unicorn for life. But the other thing would be, yun nga, na parang there was some kind of editing here, which I don't know whether there was or not. But I mean, that's the other speculation, you know? So I don't know. I mean, it could be possibly. I mean, okay. So if it was stitched somehow or edited somehow, maybe it could be COVID regulation. It could
Yeah,
be
could be. Actually,
safety guidelines or
I thought about
regulations.
that too. So it could be that.
So it could be that, right? Yeah, but tama nga si Lance na, parang it could have been they could have just really been really close together and then fade, and then we could put two and two together and say yeah they were gonna kiss or they kissed at that point, And sometimes there's sort of like a thrill. See, so there's sometimes there's like a thrill and anticipation, like you don't necessarily see it, but still the imagination parang goes there and it makes it even more exciting because parang your imagination can be
Go
more
wild.
vivid and can be wilder than actual reality. So there, right?
So may
So
gumagalaw.
okay, parang medyo ano lang pala.
Like, you can see the difference.
So the yellow is also brighter. Yeah. So I guess the gray is a little, well, it's similar pala yung gray. So nag-pop lang talaga yung color. Yeah.
Oh,
But if you notice, Jim's shirt did not
looks like
change.
yours.
It's
Did
mint.
not change intensity, diba? At
My
all. So parang he's
No,
the same.
it did a little. It changed from your intensity. It came from your intensity na shirt na suot mo ngayon, Mikey, to that.
But the thing is though, this is gray. This is gray though. I
Jerome
didn't realize.
Saan ka pala, mama?
Yeah. So yeah, and if you notice, this kind of gray also happens in other episodes. Like
Sure.
I feel
yeah.
na, especially for indoor shots, parang I feel na parang medyo that it could have been lit better, or number two, it could have been the color grading could have been increased a little bit more just to make it more brighter.
Oy, gusto ko tong nag-analyze tayo ng mga scenes, no? Alam mo.
Sorry. Kala mo
Gusto ko
naman mga
yun.
eksperto, no? But the thing is, yeah, parang I feel na parang
Interesting.
there's one or two ways about it. So if
Yeah.
anyone can confirm, or if Direct Easy.
Direct Easy, hi.
Galawin natin.
Yeah.
Galaw. Ganon.
But as endings go, is this an ending that we are okay with? That's the question.
What would be an alternative ending for you guys? For
Speaking of alternate endings. Alternate
okay.
endings na.
Alternate
How can we make... Parang, are we saying that there's a better ending for Ben X Gym season 1? Or are we okay?
Honestly, I mean, I can't think of an alternative ending at this moment.
I have one.
Because parang I've already, before watching this episode, I've already sort of like put it in my head that they were not going to end up together. Because I sort of parang had that season 2 thinking already. So parang I was thinking that they would not end up together, that they would basically separate and that's it. So the fact that this happened, in a way, sort of like, oh, okay, so they're doing that. So I was basically sort of like not making assumptions and just going along for the ride. So that's why when this happened, it was a satisfier for me. Because from the very beginning naman, diba, parang I wanted them to end up together. So basically, this is a satisfier because this is the thing that I was expecting ever since. Sort of like, yeah, okay, so they ended up together. So yeah, I don't really know of an alternate ending. I guess the alternate ending was my expected ending. That Jim would be in Davao, then Ben would be here. That was my alternate ending.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Right.
Yes, Lance. What is yours?
Oh, Lance, ikwento mo na yan. Huwag mo i-type. Ikwento mo na.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, if I were to go with the same flow, like until the time he accepted his truth, I would have stopped at the time before they kissed.
Okay. Right.
Like, they would become good friends instead. Na they're seeing each other face to face, then they become good friends. Na parang are we good? We're good. Tapos, you see the smile, you just see that reminiscing look. So you have a teaser to episode to season 2 na saying, will they be together in season 2? Will they end this in another note? Kasi with this, Ben is already proud of himself. So there's a little conflict na. involved kasi he's already happy, he's no longer blue, he's already the rainbow cliche, kumbaga.
Yeah, okay.
And then Jim on the other hand naman is he's reconciling what's left of him.
Right.
So where do those hearts go afterwards? Which is not the usual route na you make what happens in the usual DL na it seems like make them kiss, everything will go okay. Parang okay. I just wanted maybe for me I just wanted to go with another route. I wanted to go to the friendship route, which was different from the usual flow of a BL.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What about you, Nico?
Siguro along those lines, same as Lance's parang imaginative plot, I guess, or imagined plot rather. I've seen, I think I did share this with you, Mikey, and then with another friend, si Ben. Parang I saw this film on Netflix. It's a movie. It's Alter Me. It's NCT, and then I forgot the actress. Anyway, so ang ending kasi doon, spoiler alert, it was nicely put. It was nicely put. But ang ending kasi, they did not end up together. Para siyang, ano yung pinanood natin before? Yung Hello, Love, Goodbye. Di ba ganun yung ending Na parang, it was kind
of... Hindi ko pa napanood yun.
It's nice. You have to watch.
Sige, okay lang. I know the spoilers anyway.
Ayoko masyadong mag-spoil. But basically, they did not end up together. I'm sorry. Para, it was self-transformative It was kind of like, going the individual change transformation kind of route Parang I would have ako personally say I'd like to question or ask this question siguro first parang what's the objective anyway of Regal, diba, in the first place? Feeling ko naman kasi they're there to give us the kilig so I think I'm okay with the ending. But if you were to ask me, ano ba yung personal preference ko of an ending for Ben X Jim? Parang ganun, na parang nasa Davao si Jim and then Ben would be here. Parang may reconciliation pero iisipin ng audience na parang hindi sila together. Parang walang eksenang magkasama sila. Pero meron lang conversation. Let's say yun, may dialogue si Ben. Parang he was sending this video message to Jim about the three truths, diba? And then siguro Jem could have probably ended with that quote na sinabi niya towards the end. And then the audience would be left with a question na parang, hala, ano yun? Ano nangyari? Diba? Parang walang typical na ending na nag-kiss sila and then they became together. Parang it's expected It would have probably blown my mind sana with that kind of ending na iisipin ng tao na, hala sila ba or hindi? Hala, ang lungkot kung hindi naging sila. Diba? Parang ganun. Siguro I'm coming from a place na very gaya sa pelikula may gaya sa pelikula bias ako sort of. Na parang alam mo yun, open-ended, it's an open ending basically. Parang ganon. Pero ako technically I like the ending. It's a satisfier just like what Mikey said. It goes with the objective or goal I guess of Regal. Kasi pag lumihis sila, baka hindi rin natin ma-appreciate like yung general audience, diba? If we go too sweet and too romantic, baka, oh my God, ito na naman tayo sa trope and cliche, diba? But I think it was precisely done in a way na it wasn't too much. It was enough for me. It was sufficient enough, I guess. Yun.
Yeah.
Pero, yun muna, Mikey, before I go deep in the other topics.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, kasi I also like the theory that they're throwing in. This could be a dream sequence ni Ben. After him going through this all truth stuff, it's a dream sequence now. He just imagined the whole thing when he kisses Jim.
Okay.
Kasi they have interesting theories na because it ends in white, so it could be a dream. Or usually when you end it at white, parang that's a sense of happiness maybe.
Right.
Pero there's a deeper question I have, but it's going off topic. We're going back to the text given by the mom to Ben and to Ben specifically. Parang how did you feel about that? Kasi we're talking about that issue wherein kasi you were mentioning a while ago it could be the direction of Regal, pero what if it's them regulating the kiss scene? Or what if it's them regulating some of the stuff? What if it's them going through those lines?
Yes.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Parang, I mean, they're trying to balance out what they're trying to regulating some stuff. Let's say, kasi diba, if you're gonna say, pag na to, the mother, yung plot device na used na the dad fell in love with the dad. And that's the reason why they broke off because of that. Diba? And let's say, I'll go deep ha. Like, let's say there's 4 stages of media representation according to Clark, which I found in a tweet through UP Babaylan. Thanks, LM, for this. And one of those...
Mention mo nga, may Lance yung 4.
Yeah, the four are 4 R's, or they start somehow there. The first R is non-representation, which is there's no representation of any minority, any LGBT, any woman in a series or an episode or a film. The second R is ridicule, wherein the woman, the man, the minority, the LGBT character will fall into the stereotypical ridicule roles, wherein they're making fun of, they're looked down upon, or they're made a caricature.
Okay. Yeah.
The third R is regulation, wherein they are there, they exist in the story, but every movement they do is regulated, or they become a threat or a plot device of a threat in the story. Like,
ano yung pang-4? Sorry, nawala ako. I didn't catch you there. Ano yun?
Yung third, yung pang-4 is representation, which we're all fighting for. The correct representation, kumbaga.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this feels that, I know it's hard to break away from the regulatory stereotypes kasi we're all fighting to be represented correctly. So, and it's hard to break that mold because you have lots of bosses from up going down. So, yeah, and it just scares me lang naman na, like, unlike GSP, wherein what they did with GSP was yung breakup of the mom and the dad was not because their son was gay. It's because the parents had a problem. The highlight of turning this to this story is they broke up because their dads had an affair. Not because of another issue. Parang, it's like you're highlighting that it's because they're gay, it's a threat.
Right. See, ganda. Gusto ko yun. I mean, I'm not saying magandang representation, but good point. Are we saying that representation was regulated? Tama ba? Or
parang gana. It fell upon regulation, kumbaga. If there's 4 media ways of to represent media, it's under regulation. Because we became a threat.
Right. So,
although it happens in real life, pero it shows na we're still a threat, kumbaga.
Wait, we can discuss it here definitely, but this is going to be a preemptive narrative for tomorrow, our discussion on media representation. But definitely we can discuss it here. I like the point, Lance, though. Tama eh. Parang, well, like our friends in the comment section can share their insights, but I think I have to agree with you eh. Parang, yeah, it could be a reality. It could have happened probably in the past. But ang question kasi, is it a good representation? Parang, is it a good perception, diba, to the audience? Diba? So parang, are we saying that we scrap off that part there and then we change the narrative into something else?
I think that's why I said na that's why they had to do the kiss at the end to balance that out. Kasi para ma-reconcile siya na even if the parents ended that way, even if let's say they broke up because of the parents, the two sons still went together.
Right.
Parang,
so that's like it's antithetical to what happened with the parents.
Right.
But it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like awkward because the dads got together and now the sons are getting together. So I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, it's too close to home. You know?
I know.
It's like until we meet again, wherein they swap families. And now they're like, I'm like, okay, but yeah, I think absolutely you're correct that it is under regulation, and I think one of the definitions as well of regulation is that parang they put these characters into sort of like more acceptable or sort of like boxes, like parang oo ganun sila. Alam mo yun, so parang ganun eh. but it's not necessarily true, or it's not necessarily like accurate, diba? So that's why it's the third level versus the fourth level, which is true and accurate, proper representation. Ang daming adjective, no? Ang hirap.
I know, right?
Kasi parang if you're gonna talk, I don't know if we're jumping to tomorrow's topic, but basically for me, it's sort of like when we talk about representation can be positive or negative, diba? I mean, because when we talk about representation, you not only show the good parts of that culture or that spectrum or that, let's say, person, but you also show their negative parts, diba? Because that's a true, accurate representation of them, diba?
Yep.
Siguro, what we don't want is inaccurate representation and false representation, diba?
Right.
Yeah.
So, if, for example, a person is a bitch, you can show them as being a bitch. That's still appropriate representation.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's just that what we're looking for these days is also sort of like proper handling of that representation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if the person is being a bitch, I think the best example would be Miranda Presley. Parang for example lang that kind of bitchiness. Parang you would see her as a queen bitch, pero you would know why she's a queen bitch. You would see the life story of Miranda Presley.
So that's
you get to see her.
Yes.
That's properly handling. Parang you get to see that she's not just because of bitch. She's a mother. She's a book writer. She's a fashion editor. She's stressed.
One-dimensional.
She's one-dimensional. And you could see levels of her being bitchy. Like you could see like the carry-on bitch, the straightforward bitch, and the headstrong bitch. So there are levels of being a bitch.
But sumasanga rin yun eh, di ba? So for example, yun nga, may ganong tao. So when she does bad things to people, perhaps, then how do those people handle it, di ba? So may ganon din na aspeto or aspect.
Right.
Like for example, if she causes harm to someone, do we just leave it at that, or should there be accountability for it, or should there be reparation? So I know we're going ahead for tomorrow's topic, but that's what I'm thinking.
Pero Mikey,
there should always be something like that.
Are we thinking of the same series? Yes.
Yes,
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Turn clang.
So
if you guys don't watch Together with Me, that's
go ahead.
Yeah, but that's basically all I wanted to say for that.
Pero Mikey, piggybacking on what you said, I think I have to agree with you kasi proper handling and that's something that we will be expounding tomorrow night, 10 p.m. We'll be joined by Thais Estrada, an expert on Soji and then representation. We'll also be joined by Direct Renz of the influencers from
Camp Avenue.
Yes.
And then who's the other one? Sorry.
Yeah, it's Vince Desus from My Extraordinary. He's a writer, musical director, and composer.
Yeah, so we're gonna have cool. We're gonna have like a full-blown discussion naman tomorrow night. No? But tonight, siguro, we'll just parang have like some sort of a scratch on the surface siguro on media representation.
Yeah.
But I have to agree with Mikey. Parang I've been discussing about this whenever we did like reviews of our favorite Pinoy BLs, diba? Parang we talk about responsible representation, so on and so forth. But I think proper handling. I'll give an example. Siguro another Thai BL, and this has long been very debatable to me. Tharn type. Mikey, you know how I love Tharn type, right? Everything. Siguro, and siguro sa dami na nating ni-review ng mga serye, both Thai and BLs, naka-12 na akong Thai BL, and then Pinoy BL, sunod-sunod tayo ongoing, nare-realize ko later on na parang, kaya ako nagustuhan si Tharn type because kinilig ako. Merong aesthetic Ang gagwapo nila pareho di ba? Tsaka yung chemistry, we must admit, that's undeniable, right? You can see it on screen. Pero, we also have to delve into the sensitive issues presented there We talk about consent. We talk about rape, di ba? Di ba, Mikey? I did research dun sa mga nangyaring incest and then mga rape studies in Thailand. And these things really happen. But I'd like to go back to what Mikey said. Sabi niya, parang you present something, but you have to be able to handle or tackle it. Diba? Hindi pwedeng nilagay mo lang for plot device. Kasi sa akin, ang dating sa akin, and this, I'm being objective, the rape narrative there, and even the consent, was used as a plot device for romance. But it wasn't even discussed fully And I must kumbaga quoting like someone I read somewhere in an article na parang it was taken too loosely eh. It was discussed, it was tackled too loosely. So yun nga, parang that's something that we can probably expound more tomorrow. And then going back to Ben X Jim siguro, maganda yung point ni Lance eh. Kasi nga eh, parang I never thought of it that way. But yeah, ito pala. Have you seen Disclosure? Yung ni-recommend nila Thais dun sa
No, not yet.
I'll watch it later pa.
You have to watch it.
Homework.
Homework, Thais.
Mikey Lance, super, ako talaga, sabi ko kay Thais parang I messaged her this morning. Sabi ko, grabe, epiphany talaga sa akin. Kasi parang yung coding na ginagawa ng media sa atin is very subconscious. We're not even aware that we are being programmed already to believe a certain way. Right?
Yes.
Pero when I saw that in Disclosure,
that's also the theme of the social dilemma. That we don't know it, but we are actually being programmed to like certain things, to do certain things. Yeah.
It's a series or a movie?
It's a documentary on the social dilemma. Oh my God, goosebumps. You should watch it.
Yeah, sige. Yun ang papanoorin ko tonight. That's my homework. Lahat ay may homework. So yun nga, parang ang ganda, no? So tomorrow, guys, to all the 45,000 viewers watching and friends.
Yeah. Oh my God, 45,000! Wow! Hey.
Oh!
48 na now.
Oh my God, 48,000!
Yay! So please join us tomorrow night. That's at 10 p.m. We'll be joined by Thais Estrada, direct grants of the influencers, Camp Avenue Studios, and the writer, Vince Jesus. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tapos to add to your content, because I just watched the documentary also. It's a documentary in the UK. It's The Big Gender Social Experiment. It's an LGBT documentary by Gender Quake. It has 2 parts in YouTube, so you can look for that. It's The Big Gender Social Experiment. So imagine Big Brother with all the spectrum in one house.
Whoa.
That's what you get. So you have a cisgender couple, you have a cisgender male, a cisgender female, a trans man, trans woman, non-binary, asexual, pansexual, name it, they're in the house. So
you know what?
It's interesting. And you would see the different opinions, ideologies, principles of each of them. So when I watched that, it was eye-opening as well. Because these are real people, kumbaga. And you would see who are open to which genders, but it's only one. It's like a microscope of what could have been if life was that easy.
I like that.
And you know what? I actually, I'm hoping someday that we could have like representatives from each of the spectrums, and then like have a sit down and talk about things. That would be like a dream sesh.
We will make it happen.
I want that to happen in the Philippines because they did it there in UK. So I wish we could do that here too.
Yeah. But even just on a live,
I know.
Not necessarily like a forum or a convention or something. But
Rion, sama ka minsan. Represent yours.
You can, Rion. Because I think it would be very interesting to have all these people in one spot, and
I agree.
To basically have like a physical representation of the spectrum that you're thinking about, because it's so different if you only have it in your head and then you're talking about these concepts, but to actually have a physical person representing that part of the spectrum, it's going to put a whole new spin on it. It's going to be like Twilight Zone meets, I don't know, the rainbow.
Grabe, no?
That'll be crazy.
Monumental yun, grabe.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So for those of you who just joined in, who just tuned in, we're actually discussing patapos na tayo actually. Ben X Gym finale. We're just parang branching out to media representation because there's so much to discuss in this finale, right?
Yeah, and parang culturally, I think the problem with some of the media representation is they're taking media representation from the US to our shores, or the media representation of Thailand to our shores.
Right.
And they forget that our audiences are different. Let's say
True.
they borrow concepts of media representation from Japan, then bring it to the Philippine shore, thinking that in that way or that archaic way will work in the Philippines. And sometimes it carries the same. mentality that the audience could be that too. But unfortunately, hindi. It's not. The Philippines is more, especially now, we are varied and we are woke. So there's a lot of people na who would prefer a story, who would prefer na like what they did in a way na they didn't totally kiss, kumbaga. It was just like a smack, kumbaga, and leave the rest for your imagination. We're good with that. Yeah, and this is a show na there was no sexual tease, kumbaga.
Yeah.
If you noticed, they were just feeding siguro some fan service of shirtless pics or shirtless moments. Pero tawid naman lahat yun. Kasi it was done through sped water, through sweat, and through basketball.
Sige na lang.
Yes.
But I think they were able to sort of like justify those moments. You know?
Yeah.
That's number one. Basketball and just took a bath, you know, and I think it was still done very appropriately or properly. Right?
Yeah.
Parang,
actually,
because I don't know, parang you just get the sense of sort of like when the camera is sort of like just showing things versus caressing the body.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how else to explain it because, for example, when Jim is like doing construction work, right? So when he's sort of like crouched down or squatting. So you see the camera panning like that, but it doesn't necessarily linger on the crotch area. No, it just happens like that, right? So it's not the focus. But then you will have other camera pans or other camera focuses where it just sort of like, like 2-3 seconds on that particular area before it moves on. So you know when it's sort of like really just to titillate or when it's just part of the frame. It's just part of the frame, but it's just there. It just happened to be there when the camera was panning, as opposed to yes, it's there. Seriously. So so that's why I didn't have any issues with any of the.
Yeah, me neither.
That we've seen.
Yeah.
Pero like adding to what Mikey said, di ba, I did say this in the first episode or fourth episode, I think. Yung eksena na dumating na si Leo and then hinawakan, episode 2 yata or 1, yung hinawakan ni Jim, kamay ni Ben. He was like, ano ginagawa mo sa wifey ko? Diba?
Oh, first episode dun.
Episode 2, okay. So, I believe I did say that hindi ko, ang babaw ng eksena na yun, I'm telling you. But, they made it really dramatic. They made it so effective because of the acting, and I felt the scene. Alam kong mababaw, hindi ko sana magugustuhan, pero nagustuhan ko because of the acting. Kaya I really, props to the acting talaga.
Yes.
Diba? I think the same thing.
Yeah.
Go, Mikey.
Let's not forget, diba? Parang there was another episode where there was another scene wherein you felt sort of like their acting chops and sort of like the tension in between the two of them. Right? It was that scene wherein Ben basically admitted to Jim that mahal kita, and I mean that was also another choice scene for me because the wording that was used, the reaction of Jerome, right, and I don't know, the way that entire film, that entire clip or portion was shot. I mean, it was really, really effective because you could see sort of like the longing of Ben to be accepted and to be sort of like acknowledged and for his love to be reciprocated, right? And then you could see the sort of like turn of emotions, the turmoil in Jerome's face when he was like,
kita mo.
Diba? Yung pagbagsak ng mukha, yung parang yung confusion sa eyes niya. That's sort of like, what do I say to this? Like, how do I respond to this? Parang those are a couple of the moments that really, for me, like stand out in the series. Diba? Parang they're very, very effective in that way. Super. And I think the last scene was not a par with that particular scene. So I don't know what it is, but if they could have done something maybe different for the last scene, I think it would have also sort of like been elevated to that level as well, diba? Kasi yun nga parang it seemed a little, parang it's really the line in between for me. It's a divide, parang it's an obstacle. It's a sort of like conceptual barrier. There's still something that still separates the two of them, right? So yun nga, parang if I go back to that scene we're in, okay, I will tell him how I feel. I will see how he feels about it. There was no barrier in between them, right? And then in the bedroom scene, we're in, Jim broke down, right? And he said na parang, okay, this is new to me, but I will still take a chance. I will still take a risk because I love you. And I should have told you that. I just didn't know how to say it, but I love you, diba? So there was also nothing in between them. But then here, they're supposed to be together. There's that thing in between them. And I don't know, maybe the dialogue could have been something else as well, because the wording that was used in the other two scenes was so emotional for me, but here it felt like it didn't hit me in that way. I mean, I can't really explain it. I'm just telling you that the impact was not as big as when they were having those two other scenes and those conversations.
Don't worry, I understand. And I mean, for me, I felt more the monologue, the voice-over monologue, than that part.
Yes, very true. Yes. And well, probably because there was a montage, right? And it was basically showing scenes of them together. And now we know this was from Jim's perspective. And it even showed that scene wherein they first met that night, wherein they were drinking in the treehouse. And then Jim fell asleep on TJ's, or I'm getting their names confused again. Well, Jerome fell asleep on TJ's shoulder, right? So now we know that he wasn't really fully asleep then. He knew what was happening, right? So all those moments that he was talking in his head, he was imprinting in his memory, that he was cherishing because it was moments with Jim. That was for me like, oh, that gave me more of an emotional draw rather than that kiss, So I don't know. It was probably the way that it was treated. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it could be because based on the flow, parang you were expecting it to happen, so there was no surprise anymore. They're gonna kiss, okay.
Alam na.
So, alam na. Unlike there's a slow tease. I'll reference one of the old series, like Game Boys. There's a slow tease and build up when they're about to kiss. Unlike ito, parang okay.
And the song. The song.
Yeah, parang ito, okay. They're walking together, meet in the middle, and they, okay.
Yeah.
Sayang lang yung OST kasi parang I have feels for the OST eh.
Did they play the song when
They
the
did.
kiss happened?
No, they didn't. Para sa akin, it was good that they didn't play the song then. Parang
Really?
it's okay.
But what if they did? Like, what if they played the song? The instrumental.
Or may
Let
ibang
imagine that.
Or may treatment yung
they would play it in an acoustic or stripped down piano version ng kanta.
Yes.
Exactly. Pwede.
No lyrics.
That would work. That would work.
That could have worked eh.
It could be even a violin, just to make it a little more.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Or a cylindron, right? Mama. Charot.
Or a trombone.
A banjo.
Or it could be a cymbal, mama. Cymbals. Charot lang.
Ang sakit sa tinga ng cymbals.
Correct. Oh my gosh.
Pero diba, ibang treatment sana for the OST. It could have been effective. More effective.
Yes. And if you think about it, the series does that. Parang there are scenes wherein they sort of bring it back and bring it back and bring it back. Like the song. Diba? The song, The Stars Align. And then you have the constellations. And then you have Bella. And then you have the Slumbook. Diba? And then you have the text there.
The Bella.
Stars Align. And then you have the karaoke session. He sings the song, right? So may mga ganon. Oh, and also remember the last episode, My 3 Truths, and then the videoke session, 2 Truths.
I gusto ko yung tie-up na. I like the tie-up with the end.
So
ang galing.
it's like now there are no more lies. It's just all truth. And now that there's all truths, he is number one freer because we also now throw back to Flo's quote that only the truth can really set you free, Sure. So, tama ka, Nico, di ba? Parang the way that they thought about the series, it was really all well thought out, di ba? Maybe there are some instances lang na medyo yung execution could be different, right? But yun nga, parang may mga pieces that tie together, may mga repetitions. Like for example, the plural, the plus S, no S. Milky with S. Outsiders with an S.
Right.
Diba? Or 1 star, no S. Mga ganun.
Ayun nga, di ba, first episode pa lang, pinag-isipan, di ba, I did share this with you, Lance, yung 5 stars, di ba si Olan lumabas? And then parang they posted a tweet, si Regal, about stars eh. Ilang stars ang ibibigay nyo for the first episode? I'm like, ang galing ng nila social media. Parang pinag-isipan talaga siya, na parang hindi lang siya basta-basta constellation. Parang nag-translate siya, like Olan, the character, nag-translate siya to like polls, di ba? Ilang stars ang ibibigay nyo sa first episode? I'm like, hala, ang smart. Yun lang. Kung sino mang nag-isip nito, di ba?
Right. Another thing that I liked, and this is more for the production than the show itself, is yung wifey, di ba? We talked about it. There was a big brouhaha about it. And they listened to the netizens, and then, they started using Team Hubby. Although in the series, it's still wifey because it's Jim, the heteronormative, traditional macho guy using that term. But then in social media, they started using Team Hubby. So I really appreciate that. That means that they're listening. I mean that they are
that's good.
cognizant and very receptive. Yeah, so I appreciated that.
Okay. Wait, Mikey, Lance, before siguro I think we have a lot to talk about Ben X Gym finale, no? Before we do that, let's rate siguro muna. Let's do our BBS rating. And we'd like to invite everybody to rate the entire series not just the episode.
Series na to. Okay.
Yes,
series.
Yes.
Series.
If you can average the rating of our friends in the comment section, do that. Ako na mag-average natin.
Okay, I'm ready.
So bale parang 50% BBS atin tatlo and then 50% sa kanila. Okay?
Wow.
So, yes.
Laki na 50%. Okay.
Oh, yes.
That's true, yes.
Yes. Okay, so yes. And then BBS rating, satisfaction rate to, hindi na siya kilig rating ha. So based on what we've discussed, based on the 7 episodes that we've seen, how will you or what rating will you give Ben X Gym? Can I start? Ipagyayabang ko talaga tong Excel sheet ko. Charot lang. Pwede ko ba ipakita? Okay lang.
Ikaw, it's up to you.
Go ahead.
Sige na, but I will definitely share this with you guys ha. Kung feel nyo mag-rating, go. Kung hindi nyo bet numbers game
Actually, I've already locked a number in my head.
Okay.
We'll see if it changes after I see your...
After see, ako rin. Let's see.
Mikey, huwag kayo ma-influence sa akin
Well, you can't really say that because sometimes it happens.
Actually,
I mean, but that's the whole thing. Diba? Parang what happens is when we talk about it and then we see or hear other perspectives, then you sort of get a different appreciation for things.
Nagbabago ako rin
Nagbabago eh. So I'm locking it in my head and we'll see if it changes or not.
Sige. Okay. So i-rate ko lang. I'll just flash the Excel file that I just opened. And before tayo nag-live, I keyed in mga scores ko. So I think we're using WAP again, but it can be anything ha. So
Okay.
So like for writing, I'm giving it like 7.67. For acting, I gave it 9.33. Then for
oh my god, this is auto-compute, Mix. What the hell?
Seryoso?
No, is it? Is it auto-compute?
Yes, it's auto-compute.
Nakasama na siya.
Autofill.
Ang daya, nakakuha na siya. Equals sum plus na siya.
I-fill in mo lang yung mga white space pero it will automatically.
I know. Naka-formulas na siya.
Yes. And then production, I gave it like 7.78. Kanya. Nung kanina actually, before, nung nag-uusap tayo, binago ko siya kasi masyadong mataas. When we were discussing, tama si Mikey nagbago rin yung mindset ko. Sabi ko, masyadong mataas based dun sa sinasabi nyo kanina. So I'm giving it 8.26 overall rating ko for the entire series. Yun. That's me.
You know what?
Okay.
You know what?
What?
My rating is 8. My rating is 8.
Okay.
It didn't change.
Actually, I'm giving it the same score too. I'm an 8. It didn't change too. I was fixing an 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the thing is, guys, and you can go ahead and keep putting in your what do you call this?
Yes, I'm tabulating. Don't worry. I'm still tabulating.
Go.
QA. Yeah, because you know what? I mean, in terms of because it was satisfactory for me. But the entire thing was satisfactory for me. What would for me an excellent would be a 9 or a 10. But then of course there's like God tier, which is for me 10. And then there's sort of like demigod tier, which is a 9.
True.
But this is human tier for me. So that's why I gave it an 8. Right?
Yes.
So and the reason why I like it because I like it. I like the series. The reason why I like it is number one, I think the writing in terms of let's say how it was thought out. Because I mean I can imagine how they sort of like put the thought process into it, right? Now yung execution yung iba, right? So the execution would be basically the line delivery, let's say the shots of the scenes, the sequencing, right? The colors, the lighting, and all those things. So that's where it changed for me, diba? Parang okay, so doon na tayo naglalaro. So we saw some inconsistencies, we saw some things that were sort of like questionable, and we also saw some things that we didn't agree with. Right? So that's why it's not a 10 or a 9 for me. Because I like it. It has flaws. And basically, if you ask me if I'm going to watch the second season, yeah, I'm going to watch it too. So, yeah.
Oh naman. Definitely. I think Mikey pretty much said everything. Para ako talaga, ang highlight at naghila talaga sa entire series for the rating. Kasi it could have been a 7. Kasi sa akin, parang subjectively, I would have given it a 7, really. Nakita ko si Maring Reka dito Parang 7 daw siya talaga. Pero,
actually,
I have to be very objective. So, kung objective ako, na magpapa-QA ako, sabi nga ni, magpapaka-QA ako, sabi nga ni Maring Reka, it will be an 8 for me. Kung yun yung may metrics tayong gagamitin. So, ako, siguro acting for me really is worth highlighting in the series. Kasi ever since nag-start tayo mag-review from the first episode, I've always been so vocal about acting. Parang Jerome Ponce, TJ Marquez was surprising. What's this? Kat Galang was really the it girl for me. Alam mo yun? So, ayun, adding to that, si Olan din, nakalimutan ko rin na very natural lang, hindi siya OA, hindi siya rehearsed. I felt his character there, di ba? So, in terms of, I think the acting workshop probably went well, I guess. Diba? Or probably Easy Ferrer did well in her directorial skills, diba? So, nag-translate on screen at least sa atin. Uy, natuwa ako. Before we hear Alance's justification dun sa rating niya na 8, natuwa ako kasi lahat tayong tatlo dito nag-8. Diba? May mga times kasi na hindi tayo magkakasundo sa scores natin Biglang may outlier, nag-6 yung isa, nag-9, ganun.
I don't remember. It's been a while. But have you ever? But I think I've done a 7.
You did.
Yeah, you did. We did.
I don't remember which series, but
Thai BL siya.
It was a Thai. I'm sure it was.
It was a Thai BL.
I'm sure it was a Thai BL. Because
naalala ko na.
Here's the thing, guys.
Still together.
Here's the thing, guys. Well, maybe not for me. Maybe not me. Because the thing is, what would really sort of like bring it down for me are all of those tropes. You know,
yes.
Right? All of those tropes, like the rape tropes and no accountability trope, etc. So here we didn't see any major thing. It's just basically the girlfriend trope, the jealousy trope. And I admit to you because I'm jealous trope, yung mga ganun bagay, right? Or lack of communication trope. But then these are things from, let's say, real relationships, I mean, they happen. I mean, they even happened to me at some point, So these are all, well, except for the girlfriend thing, but whatever. But you know what? I mean, it happens. So that's why I'm, I'm good with it. I'm basically good with it. Now, Reka said the acting is poor. I mean, the writing is poor. But maybe not the writing per se, because we don't have a copy of the script, right? We don't know. But maybe the way na pinagtagpi-tagpi nila, or they executed the scenes, right? And maybe they're basing it off of there's too many things happening, because we've talked about it in the Zoom, diba? Or we've talked about it in the group chat. Parang there's so many things happening. Why are they bringing this person here, wherein this isn't resolved yet, etc. and so forth, and so forth. But then again, who's to say that it doesn't happen in real life? I mean, sometimes life is really more complicated, you know?
True.
So, I mean, that's where I'm coming from, really. So, yeah I'm okay with it.
Pero ako naman, Mikey, parang siguro I'm kind of like bordering between giving it to writing or not. Kasi parang sa akin, wala masyadong bago eh. Parang, come on, yun na yun, diba? Pero satisfier sa akin. Parang, I was, it was what we were expecting at the end of the day, right? Parang, but it could have been better sana, diba? Yeah.
And that's the reason why, I'm sorry, Direk, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But that's why for me, it's not on the level of GSP or Game Boys. Because those two showed, whoa. I mean, like, they taught me so much, and I learned so much. And the amount of discussion that we had on those two episodes, and I'm not talking about our lives, I'm talking about in the chats, I mean, in person, you know, stuff like that. So the amount of discussions that went into that because of everything, I mean, it was a lot. But here, parang, yun nga, like you said, parang, I mean, there was not really something new to learn, right? I mean, it was a good story. I went along for the ride. I mean, I enjoyed the series. I love Jerome Paul. Say hi, Jerome.
That part for me. Baka direct easy. Pwede isama si Jerome dito.
Jerome, i-like mo lang. Kahit i-like mo lang yung tweet mo, and yung tweet ko, okay na ako.
Is it active on Twitter ba?
He doesn't like tweets. I don't know.
Okay.
And he doesn't post a lot, you know?
At least he's consistent. At least he's consistent.
Right. He was even called out by a netizen, and that one he responded to, because the netizen said na parang ang dami-daming follower, ang dami-daming pero dalawa lang yung post niya, or dalawa lang yung nilike mo, parang ganun. So, nag-respond siya doon, sabing, actually, nagpo-post rin naman po ako. Tapos yun yung pangatlong post niya or something, I don't know. So, yun na. So, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, you know, I love this man. That's it.
Yeah. Yung sa akin naman, I gave it an 8 because I could bear with, the tropes. Kumbaga, it's not as heavy as the lowest score I given because of all the tropes and all the repetitive stories and that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate, kumbaga, there's parts of the writing that I like, especially when it comes to dialogue. The monologues, the dialogues, those are good. Especially the last part. Yung nadadarang ka sa mga ganun-ganun. I think I like the poetry in that. Pero the chunks of how it is told siguro, I think that's where it needs to be improved on. It's either it's because of the editing or maybe the story flow itself. But otherwise, I like how it's written with the dialogue. Ang ganda eh. I mean, yung batuhan and Olan, those lines are good. Pero the whole that carries the story medyo needs improvement pa.
True.
Kaya siya 8.
I agree.
And to score the other side, we have already a full score. Your
50-50 tayo. Go.
50-50 tayo. Kasi di ba ours, our average would be
8. Because
8.9. Tama ba? 8.9.
Well,
kasi 8.26 siya.
He gave 8.26.
Total average na ba yan ng 50-50?
In average ko na. I heard, parang sa atin, it's gonna be 8.9. Tapos sa audience, it's around 8.08, I think.
Ilagay mo sa private chat para surprise.
May average na ako.
Ilalagay ko na sa banner para surprise sa kanila. I-private chat mo muna. Charot.
Ganon.
Ang arte.
Ang arte, no?
Ikaw na rin mag-announce. Ano ba? Daming hanash.
Wait, why is it 8.9 when it's 8.8 and then 8.26? Mahina ko sa math.
Hindi pa ako doon. Yung 8.09 tayo. It's
09.
8.9. No, 8.9 pala tayo. 8.9 tayo.
8.09.
But why though? When it's 8.8 and 8.26?
Or kinalculate ko siya, it's 8 average natin is 8.0686. Ay, 8, tama. 8.086.
6? Okay. So, sa audience, yung 8.9.
Okay.
I averaged, and there were around 14 to 15 people who scored, so the average is 8.9.
Total na yun? Lahat sa atin na yun?
Hindi pa. Yun yung sa mga tao.
Sa mga tao.
Yung, yung 50, ikaw na mag-calculate ng 50%.
Mataas pa rin si Ben X Jim.
If it's 50-50, then it's basically those
50-50.
And then combine.
Yes. So what's the drum roll score?
Excellent. I would say
it's in the line of 8 pa rin yan.
Oo. Wait lang ha.
Come through statistics, sabi ni Rian.
Gusto ko to.
Pero gusto ko sinabi ni
algebra. Come through algebra.
Wow. Gusto ko ng sapin-sapin din ngayon.
This is for Maring Reka. Wow!
Gusto ko yan.
Parang awan yun na.
Already naman tayo sa rating natin.
Stars align na lang.
Ready na ba? So the BBS satisfaction rate, 50%, BBS, 50% our friends in the comment section is, for Ben X Jim to the entire series is 8.48.
And if you round it down, it's an 8.
8.5.
So is it 8.5? See?
Okay na siya for the score. No?
I'm okay with it. No problem.
Yes.
I mean, if you take a look, I mean, it's really, diba, parang subjective at this point because there's a lot of different perspectives that are on it, you know.
Yep.
It's not like we're using the same criteria for our scale.
No.
Like, remember now, when we said na, like, Ange and Patty would go to their killing meter, Mikey has his 3 Rs, I have my smirk, Miko has his WAP, and Mark has his critical thinking methodology, and Maya has the experience quotient. So we have differences.
Pero pag tayo nag-uusap, parang we have like may hawak talaga akong alcohol, di ba? So, ano tawag dito? Parang
damayan kita.
Yes. Gusto ko yan. Mag-spray tayo. Alcohol tayo.
Nawawala yung akin.
Pero I think, there are times though, whenever we do our parang after show chat, sometimes I go smirk, sometimes I go triple R. Kasi it's easier for me eh. Gets, diba? May mga ganun eh. Parang WAP is like very, metric-based kasi masyado. And for me, pag ginagamit yung WAP, minsan nakulong ako dun sa parang dapat, alam mo yun, elements, components, masyadong restricting and rigid. But if I go like quick lang na assessment, I can go triple R depending on the episode, di ba? I can go smirk also pag maganda yung music, maganda yung may impact sa akin and all. Di ba? So depende. Like si Mark, napansin ko sa kanya, parang he likes to tackle mga issues and themes like responsible handling, mga ganyan, di ba? So it's quite interesting though. Like ang sila Patty naman and si Ange, parang they talk about kilig, di ba? Sometimes they piggyback on what we say, di ba? Si Maya naman very very collective, tumingin ng mga perspective, very experiential, tama si Lance, based on my experience, based on what I think, di ba? So it's good that we have that variation sa sa assessments natin, di ba?
Yeah, I wanna throw a question nga pala to everyone, even in the chat. Like, how do we feel about Yana All?
I like it actually. It was either Yana All or Ben and Olan, pero I'm happy how it turned. I mean, to be honest, the reason why I stuck with the series also was because I'm curious of the story ni Yana and ni Olan.
Same. Mikey, put number 1 in the chat, ganon. If you like the more ganon.
Yes. So everybody in the chat, if you agree or are okay with hashtag Yana All, put 1 in the chat. Go! Yes. May mga pag-ano na tayo.
Oo, gusto ko yun
Yes, para may audience participation tayo dyan.
True. Yana All. Tama ba? Yes.
Yes. Sila lang bagong velas. Ganun eh.
Oo, correct.
Yes. So, si Lance talaga, tatlong one.
Ay, hindi daw fan si Al.
Hindi daw siya fan. It's okay.
It's okay.
We have our
Kanya-kanya.
preferences, definitely.
So, I'll put your hashtag, which one you want.
Ayun.
Dalawa na sila.
Yeah. Oh, Shintaka also.
Ayaw din
Why,
niya.
guys? So, if you don't like the ship, which ship are you going for? Put it in the chat. So, put the hashtag there. Yan. Okay. I mean, ako naman, I'm okay with it. Pero I think there is that thought na parang medyo they needed to do that just so the two have a happy ending. May foreshadowing pa nga, right? I mean, after the party, the karaoke party, they talked that they were both outsiders. So that was like something. And there were instances wherein, I mean, first off, it started with it's also a BL trope actually, like that love-hate relationship. So they started off hating each other because Olan almost ran over Yana. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time they saw each other was, I think, it was basically at the party, right? So now she was happy with him because he was with Ben. And then, yun. And then they saw each other again after the fight with Ben and with Jim. So anyway, there was that foreshadowing. So I think they were giving us clues already.
Ooh.
So that's why I wasn't surprised that they ended up together. Yeah, but I think some people think that it was sort of like Pilet, or it was just just so they would have a happy ending as well. So yeah.
Pero within the ships, nakakatawa. There's an Alj that's for Al and Kuan and TJ, and then we also have Yana Flo.
Yana Flo daw. GL.
Oh my God.
GL, Yana Flo.
Asa na nawala.
Guys, don't leave out Nanay Elma. Char.
Kainis.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Pero may question ako dun sa Yana All natin, no? Parang ano kasi, so are we saying that Olan is bisexual? Di ba parang hindi masyadong na-thresh out masyado yung interaction?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Actually, it's a good question.
Parang more interaction sana between them, okay lang, pero parang kulang. Yeah, I have to agree. Parang may question pa ako, parang ano yun? Paano na-develop? Yun na yun? So bisexual?
Yes.
Kasi pwede siyang either bisexual na confirming no, I think it's either non-binary or pansexual. So it's one of those.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those. And I think that's also sort of like another conversation that we could have about it. Because apparently Olin doesn't care about the sex. You know? If you like someone, he likes someone. And take note, they didn't necessarily end up together because that last scene wherein Ben was talking to the both of them, it's not like they were holding hands and they didn't declare that they were together. So probably we're overthinking it. Probably they're just
good friends.
Like good friends, yeah. Or nagkukulutan sila. I don't know, whatever.
Wait lang. I saw this. Pietro made mention of...
Sorry.
Sapin.
Oh my God.
Gusto ko
What
to.
is that? What is that?
Sapin as in kakanin. Diba?
Correct.
Diba?
It's not asexual, right? What is that? Wherein you love a thing?
Oh. I don't know. I forgot what it's called.
I mean, if you know what it's called, because I know that there's someone in Japan who married a robot.
Right.
So, I mean, it could be a robot girl, but it's still.
Pero ma'am, ang weird ng sapin-sapin. Bakit sapin-sapin?
Elma X Butike. Char.
Pwede. Wait lang. Before, I'd like to flash this. Sabi ni Pel, I saw this animation actually. It's Hayop Ka. We did a review on. I did a review on this.
Watch that too.
Diba? Okay naman, Lance, diba? I think I gave it an 8 pero he's reminded of Roger, the best friend dun sa Hayop Ka. I agree. Ano bang kwento dun, Lance? Hindi ko na
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I won't be able to.
Roger and the best friend in Hayop Ka.
Parang siya yung parang
is that Roger the frog? Is that the frog? Yung kasama niya yung frog?
Correct.
Yes.
Tapos parang siya yung
na
best friend.
eventually parang ano pangalan niya? Si Nympha fell in love with the frog instead of Roger. Kasi Roger was like the Siberian Husky and the frog was comedic. Like, kumbaga, it's in real life terms, it's like Samuel B. and who's the Empoy, kumbaga. And suddenly, the girl Nympha fell in love with Samuel B. but ended up with Empoy. Kasi parang she's seeing through the person already, not just what the layers of the person. Parang ano yung first layer ng person.
Right. But I mean, the fact na nasa animation to, and you are reminded of a particular film, I mean, I think Mikey made mention in Lance din, no, na parang cliches to like a hodgepodge of cliches put together into one. So, yun lang. Gusto ko lang i-point out.
Yeah, when you do that kasi, parang it should be carefully done. Kasi if you do a hodgepodge of cliches, a hodgepodge of socially political stuff, you have to take care of that because it can be borderline caricature or it can be borderline satirical or it could be so bad.
Yeah. O ito may flinash si Rafi. Ito Mikey, objectophilia.
Oh.
Okay,
it sounds negative though because of the philia part. But I guess so.
Sexual orientation focus on particular inanimate objects. Just like sapin. Charot.
Okay, correction daw. Roger was the bulldog. And the best friend was the rabbit.
Correct. Tama ba?
So, it was like si Chris siya kasi Pietro. Tapos I think that's what happened with the story na to. It's like it's like paano ba na-explain? It's like Olan and Yana, kumbaga.
Yeah.
But I don't see this. I don't see it falling in that direction eh.
No. But I think the fact that when you see these themes in animation and other films parang means to say that, Ben X Jim plays on tropes and cliches basically, diba? Kasi we are reminded by these productions
Yeah. And I know since you just mentioned about cliches, parang I think we've gotten so used to them, and I think that in a way parang there's really no new ideas. I would have to say. I mean, it's either been done before or it's either been attempted before. I think one of the reasons why PHBLs are... No, I'm losing my train of thought. But I think one of the reasons why I liked perhaps Game Boys and GSP is it's not because that they are tackling anything new, but I guess really it's more of the treatment of it, and it's more of, let's say, the presentation of it. Because I mean, we've all seen the struggles of the LGBTQIA community. The struggles are the same. It's just really maybe what was done differently was how it was presented, number one. Maybe number two would be how it was sort of like conceptualized.
Right.
Diba?
Right.
And also maybe how it was received by us, I guess. So, alam mo yun. So in terms of cliches, I think that we're still going to be seeing cliches in the upcoming BLs. They're always going to be there, but these cliches can still be sort of like handled in a unique and let's say an appropriate way. So
like a different packaging.
And I think kasi if you watch the Rappler interview with Rod Singh and Thais Estrada, one line that spoke to me was when Rod said, we needed the stereotypes, we needed those cliches in order to get the masses. Yeah. Because it's the introduction of the cliches. It's what they're going to be hooked with. It's they know those characters already. They live with those characters already. The challenge would be is how are you going to break those cliches? How are you going to reintroduce those cliches?
Handling,
like a good, like for example, let's go with Ben X Jim na lang as an example. The term wifey was introduced. That was the cliche.
Yeah.
Around episode 5 or 7, they broke the cliche saying, no, a wifey's not this, a wifey's not that, a wifey's not that.
Yep.
Through Ben. And Ben said, sorry, I'm not post-structuralist. So I think that's the tactic that they're trying to do na rin with the other cliches. Kaya we can't really get away with them kasi it's like egg and chicken na rin. Now, who started which? Kasi some of the cliches were given by us or were introduced by us, by the society that we live in, and some cliches were introduced by media themselves. Kasi we're a reflection of each other.
Right.
And I think in terms of the representation that we're talking about, the first three, I think those are all cliches, right? What we're looking for right now is the fourth one, which is the representation, really. Diba? So I think cliches are there because it presents us what is actual reality. Right, and then we have sort of like representation, which is going to be sort of like the antithesis to that, to those cliches. So I'm really interested in what our director, our writer, and what Thais has to say about that.
Yes.
I think we've seen what we're seeing here, like what you said, Nico, diba? Parang it's not something like out of the extraordinary or mind-blowing, because what we are seeing are actually the usual things.
Yeah.
And if you go back naman talaga, I mean, every story has been told already. It's the matter of how do you tell the story? How do you repackage a story? What layers and uniqueness would you add to the story to make it more personalized or to make it more relatable to the other people, the minorities who haven't been reached at?
Yes. At dahil usapang package tayo, I just want to thank our good friend Patty for giving us the box this morning. Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, I got mine too.
Thank you. I haven't gotten mine. I don't know. I hope na hindi siya nawala or something.
Baka bukas pa, Mikey.
Okay.
I already used mine, so it comes with an alcohol and bathroom spray. So thank you.
Yes.
Wait, speaking of spray, gusto ko lang i-share talaga to, no? Like we're done with the session naman. Ito natutuwa ako sa ganitong spray. But it's not your usual atomizer for alcohol. Parang you can just pull it out of your bag and then you don't have to take off like the cover, hindi nawawala. So easy lang. Ayun ganyan. Wala lang, gusto ko lang i-share. Bakit ba?
Saan ka nakabili ng ganon? Kasi para sa pang spray na yung pang iron.
Yes, pero for alcohol, maliit kasi siya, so hindi siya ganun ka-perform. At saka ang bilis, kapag mag-grocery ka, di ba hindi hassle na magtatanggal ka pa ng cover or what. Binili ko sa cash and carry. Nag-promote? Baka naman, cash and carry, no?
Oo. Nag-promote na talaga. Nag-promote na rin ba ako? Hungry Deals, thank you again for last Saturday for the food. Hungry Deals po. Check naman at Food Panda.
Yeah. Mikey, ano ipapromote mo?
I don't have anything right now, but I guess I love green grass.
I have that at home too.
Because,
Wait, may nagamay na.
May nagmamay na.
Mine. Okay.
So, yan.
Para suki. Tingnan niyo lang po, no? Parang maganda po siya, very handy po siya. It's durable. It's portable. And it's also an easy dispenser, right? You just press on it. Nakakaloka kayo, guys. Pero wait,
yes.
I think there's a couple of comments in the chat, which I would like to see. LM, for example.
Yeah.
Let's see.
11:24.
Yeah, I think sinasabi niya, for me lang talaga, the whole story was not as problematic as the others. However, it's still under regulation over respect. The last R pala was respect. It's representation with respect. I just have some problems with the writing, especially how Jim and Yana broke up.
Yes. Yes. So yun nga eh. Parang, I think there are definitely opportunities, diba? Like yun nga, like for example, yung kay Aling Elma, right? When she said, uy, baka magpatayan sila, I was really expecting that they were going at it. Like maybe they were throwing plates or I don't know, they were, I mean, I expected a little bit of blood. Well, not really. But I was expecting to be bigger than what we saw on the screen. So I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah. And the fact that sort of like Jim was just standing there and not really explaining himself. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely opportunities in the shooting and the execution. Right? So maybe season 2 can be much better.
Yeah, we could find out the backstory between their breakup. I don't know. Let's see if it's still that important. Let's see.
I'm also thinking that there may have been scenes which were cut out. Like for example, remember after the karaoke session and then Jim got drunk.
Okay.
So we cut from the karaoke to Yana coming out of the house and then sitting with Olan, right? And then her saying we had a fight, but then we never saw that. I mean, there was no fight. So parang I was like, that was a disconnect for me. So maybe number one, it wasn't shot, or number two, it was shot, but it didn't make the final cut, or maybe number three, maybe it's the script. So I don't know, right? I mean, we don't know exactly, but yeah, there are some things that okay. So there are some gaps here. It could have been writing. It could have been shooting. It could have been time, logistics. I don't know. So yeah. So hopefully we get from an 8 to a 10 in the next season.
Yes.
We'll see.
Here's another comment by Ariel Correlia.
For me, this BL series na kahit walang intimate scenes or kissing scenes, kikiligin ka mga lines pa lang. Jerome's so good in the series, galing niya talaga magpakilig. He hooked me as in. And then there's a smiley and a heart. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't take, eto na tayo, it doesn't take a sex scene for people to watch your BL. It doesn't need a lot of skin per se to draw crowds or to have people watch your BL, because these days people really go for the stories. They want people, or they want characters that are relatable. They want stories, plots, challenges that are realistic, diba? Tapos they want to talk about, the issues that are relevant. So, I mean, no sex scene.
Ito na lang din. I mean, if you're gonna reference people from the other countries, let's say Japan, Thailand, check out their current releases. I told Sunset About You, that's from Thailand. Parang walang bahid ng sex scene. And you also have Cherry Magic that doesn't even there's no sex scene. Japan, they're reclaiming their BLs. They're reclaiming their love, kumbaga, with Cherry Magic. It's super light and it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a different attack. Ibang narrative siya. Ibang narrative siya.
And I guess it depends rin naman on the writer and maybe the studio, right? Because, for example, I mean, He's Coming to Me, no sex scene. No, unnecessary skin, but hey, I loved that show.
Let's go older. Sotus, no sex scene, and it hit big. And Sotus was the biggest break of Thailand.
I mean, Chris is the biggest pabebe ever.
I know.
Like, hello, it takes you 2 seasons to finally admit that you're in a relationship with this man. Like, hello.
Pero hindi ko, kung gusto mo ng light, Cherry Magic, I mean, it's fun, it's light, especially if you're a fan of anime. It has that same feel. Okay. And it's so super parang innocent love. It's literally stripped down boys love.
Iba nga.
Iba siya. I mean,
I'm super interested sa It's Say naman. Kasi like, 5 friends na nag-recommend sa akin, ipanoorin mo to lahat. And I've been hearing sa GDM din. I mean, you guys are discussing all these. Nagbabasa talaga ako, nag-backread akong ganyan. It's Say talaga eh. Tsaka yung Cherry Magic. I saw that din sa GDM eh. Yeah.
Art has a comment. I
want that comment too.
11:35.
And it's art people.
Art people, yeah. I think the series does not underestimate the audience, hence the gaps. Hindi niya sinispoon feed ang nangyayari, kaya di niya pinapakita. It can be good and bad thing at the same time. Yes. I understand that there are some instances where you don't really have to show it for it to be for it to exist. The thing is, for me, I would like some sort of premise, or I would like some form of, because the thing is, parang when I watch a series, when there are instances wherein the way that it's laid out to you is not surprising, meaning it doesn't caught you, you're not caught off guard or unawares, right? Or it doesn't confuse you. The thing was, when that scene happened and Yana said, we fought, I was like, but there were no preemptive, like there was no build up to that. Like if they had in that scene wherein Jim was sort of like nagmumukmok in the bathroom, and then she had said something, and he was like, "Sabi ko na wag kang makulit." That would have okay. So if that happened, and then she said, "Yeah, we fought," then that would have okay, got it. But there was no indication whatsoever, right? And then we have a series sort of like Game Boys, for example, wherein we see IG stories, and that gives you the entire backstory without having to create an actual scene for it, So it's those type of things. So it doesn't have to be a flashback. It doesn't have to be an IG story, but embedded into the series or into the scenes, there should be something that sort of like gives you an indication of that, so that but parang sort of like falls into place. But then I mean that could just be me. I mean other people are okay with it, but
Yeah, parang if I go back to how Yana thinks of things, it could be that yung pagtampo ni Jim is like saying that we fought. It's just whereas yung remember the cool off versus breaking up. Remember Yana was saying nag-cool off lang kami, pero Jim was saying no, they broke off. So parang there's a gap in their communication maybe.
Perhaps
In their emotional walls maybe, I don't know, pero yeah, but I do understand what you're saying. I would have preferred na like Yana would like give that explanation na we fought because ganito nangyari. Pas period.
Yeah.
At least you get the premise already.
Right. Or maybe if Olan had said something like, "Oh, narinig ko kayo lakas ng boses And then she said, "Yeah, we fought." Okay. Got it. Yeah. Something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. But thank you for sharing.
Yes, and people also fight na very quiet. Like there's also na tahimik lang sila mag-away. So I guess they're the kind of people na ganon. Kasi remember they're from two big popular families then. So maybe that's how they fight. Na tahimik, they try to keep it quiet. But actually, they're fighting. They fought talaga. That's how I thought about it. And then there's also another comment from art people, which I also like. Na he's saying, also I think it is written like a film, hence the pacing. Baka di pa sanay ang director sa pagsusulat ng series. No, it's well thought out. The plans, the payoffs, parang sa pelikula. Yeah.
Right.
Actually,
yeah.
And if you go back,
there's
a lot of them. If you go back to their backgrounds, they're all film directors. Most of them are.
Right.
So it feels like it's a big giant film cut off into episodes.
But I don't. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Lance.
Yeah, and if you look at Ben X Jim, that's what I felt. That's what I felt like. You're watching one long movie.
Yes.
In Ben X Jim.
But it's not a bad thing. To me, it's a good thing because it's giving us something different, something new. Like it's not exactly falling into the typical Thai BL equation, right? Parang we kind of felt that there was that feeling and like parang feel to it, but at the same time, may ganitong individuality or uniqueness rather, right? Parang pelikula yung pakiramdam natin sa kanya. Di ba sinasabi natin in previous reviews natin, it feels like a regal film, di ba?
Yes, it does.
Natin, it's so reminiscent of the past regal films. Kasi nga, very pelikula nga yung feels niya. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's some of the, yun lang siguro yung weak points ng ibang directors na, kasi with episodes, you have to have a hook after each episode.
Okay.
And for some, you're not that hooked, kumbaga. True. Unlike if you're gonna watch the whole film, you don't need the hook in between.
Agree.
Kasi you don't have to wait for another episode for another day. Kasi in one whole bang, you're done.
Yeah.
But question, guys, kasi like you made mention of hooks, diba? Parang were you hooked in every episode? Were you like so excited to watch the next episode? Were you like super crazy na, hala, ay na, Ben X Gym na, episode 5 na or episode 4 na?
No. Ako no. To be honest, no. There were times it dipped and there were times I got curious.
Exactly. Pero fluctuating, diba? How about you, Mikey? Same lang.
Same. I think the biggest draw or yung excitement that I felt was for episode 2. Because the preview because of the preview for the wifey, I was like, okay, I want to see what happens here. What's gonna happen here?
Yep.
Right? I mean, the confrontation scene with Leah, because it was something exciting. So I was looking forward to that. For the rest, probably not as much.
Hindi masyado, no? Ako rin.
I was okay. I was good.
Okay lang. Tama lang. Or basically, sabihin talaga ako sa'yo, yung part, like for this final episode, no, yung nakahiga na sa gym, and the phone was ringing, his dad was calling him, di ba? Tapos mulat yung mata niya, as in nakabukas yung mata niya. Hala, alam mo, sobrang, I've been telling you guys that I like the French ending, right? Parang, I was kind of like, partly 50% hoping na deads siya doon. Oh my God! Kasi I want that ending na parang sad. Hindi ko alam. Weird lang. Like, part of my brain is thinking na parang deads na siya. Okay, fine. Now what's next? Parang ganun. Joke lang. Pero yeah.
Grabe, super French ending.
Super talaga. Inisip ko talaga siya. Asa na ba si Chris dito? I think Chris was kind of hoping like a sad ending also. Not really hoping, but he was kind of expecting like a sad ending kanina. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the alternative ending that you were asking about earlier.
Yes, meron ako ending. Ayun, there you go.
That's yours.
That would have been totally surprising, Yeah. Like, so out of the box.
Disturbing daw, sabi ni Rio. It is.
I didn't really feel that way. I guess maybe because I was focusing on the voiceover? That was the voiceover, right?
Okay,
I think it was part of it. So yeah, I guess we were focusing on different things there.
Right. Wait, here's a good overall comment from Frantiquero.
Frantiquero.
Yeah, the Ben Action story was just so. Yeah, compared to Game Boys and GSP and even what's the HS?
Hello Stranger.
Hello Stranger. Yeah.
Acting wise, the actors were generally good. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I agree. So what is your rating, Frantiquero? From 1 to 10?
Yes, 1 to 10.
My God. No, he didn't rate. I mean, kapatid rin si P, he didn't rate, but he gave them a 7. Then.
Yeah. So overall, I'm curious to know what's going to be in season 2, when it's going to happen. And I'm also looking forward to any other projects that maybe Jerome and TJ might have. Because before Jim, I didn't know. No. I said and TJ. Because before Benex Jim, I really didn't know TJ. Like
same.
I mean, I know. I mean, I've seen him around, but I haven't really seen him in any sort of series or production. So
yeah,
I'm also interested in what he comes up with next. Because he is apparently a good actor.
Yeah, he crossed borders, diba? He went to Indonesia, Malaysia to act too for TJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
A 6. Ooh.
Oh. Yes. Feeling ko magiging 80 kapag inadatin yung scores ni Frank Quetero, Snape, tsaka ni Pietro. Magiging 8 na siya. Or 8.2 something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, mga ganun. So it's roughly 8 to 8.5, I guess.
Al is 6.5. Wow, Al, I'm curious. Can you give us...
Kasi gusto, Alj kasi siya. #Alj siya.
Sige, ilaban yan.
Personalan to? Personalan?
Pero Mikey Lance, parang I'm hoping for season 2 to elevate the story and the narrative. Parang potentially season 1 was okay. Parang we were satisfied. We're satisfied. We're happy. But we're not crazy. Parang tomorrow we will forget about it, I guess. Ako, makakalimutan ko na.
I will never forget Jerome. So
Jerome kasi yan.
I'll never forget Kat Galang's line. So
Kat Galang. I'll not forget Kat Galang as Kat Galang and the character here. But the entire series, parang I'm hoping na sana ma-elevate pa nila yung narrative. Give us something better. Better writing, I guess. Dialogue siguro maintain yun na. But give us a different twist to the story. Parang cliches are okay, but present it in a different way. Parang blow us away. Parang, di ba? I don't know.
would you want them to go socio-political? Sort of like what
No naman.
Hindi naman siguro. Pero siguro, ano na lang, yung narrative
ibang play naman ni Shakespeare. Iba naman. Tama na si Romeo and Juliet. Iba naman.
Macbeth.
Yeah.
Lion King yan.
Oh my God.
Macbeth, mama.
Si Macbeth, Lion King eh.
Pero yun nga, parang like example, yung narrative ng dads na they had an affair, parang I could have wanted it presented differently sana. Or they could have had a montage. I don't know kung kailangan pa ba ng montage. Parang nakulangan kasi ako dun eh. Parang give us something more.
Until we meet again flashback. Tapos mag-play ng dads nila si Jerome at si TJ.
Exactly. Oh my God, yes. Yes. Diba? I would love that.
Sana ang galing nun kapag ginawa nila. No?
And then the parents could be Ian Veneracion.
Yeah!
Tapos flash forward si Ian de Veneracion and
sino ba yun? Si Sir Chief?
Yeah!
Si Richard Yap. Oh my God, pwede.
Wait, seryoso. I'm digging that story, mama. I'm telling you. Seryoso.
Direct. Ian Veneracion, Sir Chief.
Parang give us that narrative eh. Parang...
Yeah, actually, yung pinapaglaban natin ngayon na we want to hear narratives spoken from a 30-year-old LGBT, a 40-year-old LGBT.
At saka yung totoong nangyayari, yung accurate yung nangyayari talaga. Diba?
Chubby.
Oo, yung chubby. Like the other shapes and sizes of the LGBT community. And like, parang we're not just stuck on romance plots. I want to see a plot wherein they're struggling on how to adopt a kid. How do they survive with the financial crisis? How do they survive with long-distance relationships? Mga ganun.
Wait lang. I'd like to add, I don't know if Attorney Jude is here. I was reading yung sa GDM. I think he made mention na parang the quarantine or the lockdown narrative could have been leveraged for a good and a rich, deep narrative. Sayang lang na parang dito sa series na to, at least ito naman yung perspective niya, no? Parang dinaanan lang yung quarantine and yung pandemic. Parang it was just a backdrop, I guess. Pero hindi siya masyadong, di ba? Naging konteksto, di ba?
Yeah, like the other BLs that we should not mention.
Wait, I have a thought on that. I have a thought on that. I'm just no. Oh my God.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not sure about the pairing. Pero
I'm parang si Ricky Davao is stuck in my head as the fuckboy guy.
Yeah, si Mayor.
I cannot. No.
So far, I cannot. I need to see him in a different role pa.
Uy, parang bet ko.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Ricky Davao is attractive. I mean, he got a bit heavy, but you know, I mean, a little bit younger. I mean, Ricky Davao, yes, and Gardo Benasosa too. But I don't know the two of them together. But I don't know if I don't see it.
Pietro, explain mo yan. Bakit silang dalawa? Saan ang gagaling to?
These Gardo Benasosa had machete, right? So
yeah.
Richard Gomez and Richard Yap.
Huh?
What?
Talaga?
Professor Snape said that.
Who's Richard Yap?
Sorry, saan?
Si Glasses, si Sir Chief.
Yeah,
Professor Snape.
Wait, Richard Gomez and Richard... Oh. I can see white chocolate and, you know, like... white chocolate and mocha charlotte.
That would work.
Pwede.
Or ito, nag-ship na talaga tayo, no? Cesar Montano tsaka Gardo Versosa. Pak! Gusto mo yun?
Oh! Pwede.
Diba?
Pwede. Tapos provincial life to set in the in Bukidnon or something.
I mean, there are, now I'm remembering, wasn't there a series, not a series, but a movie set in Baguio, and it had Sid Lucero and, was it Koji Domingo?
Yes, Muli.
I mean,
it works.
Yes, they them. You know, and I think we talked about this, like, was it Carlo Aquino and Paolo Avellino? I think we talked about that in the GDM. No. I mean, we want them to do a thing together.
Okay.
I mean, Or Jericho Rosales and Piolo. Char!
Oh! Hey! Hey! Hey!
I mean,
Yes! Pwede. I
right?
like that.
If Piolo would go for it. I think he's done, but has he done a character already?
No, I don't think so.
Has Jericho done a gay character already?
I don't think so. So Dennis Trillo lang kilala ko ng isa.
Well, yeah, Dennis, of course, and Sam Concepcion.
Si Dennis with Sam Milby ata. Who was paired with Dennis Trillo?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was Sam.
Si Tom Rodriguez.
Tom Rodriguez.
Tom Rodriguez.
Tom Rodriguez. Yeah.
Hoy, gusto ko si Tom Rodriguez. And
Pwede.
sino?
Well,
pero parang gusto ko gawin yung My Husband's Lover nila, pero ang struggle sila ngayon for looking for a kid. I-adopt nila. Updated na.
Sana, no? Sana.
Yeah.
Gusto ko yun.
I think
Pinanood
somebody in the chat asked about Olan. So, we talked about Olan earlier.
Yeah, we'll support Olan for his new career.
We support Olan.
Yes, we support Ron Martinez Martin Angeles.
Wait,
so he came from Jet to in between to Olan in the next gym. So good for him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good story na rin kasi he started selling his own chili paste and chicken wings, and then he got into this.
Yes. Love a hardworking man.
Ito talaga si Pietro, may mga eksenang, ito talaga benta sa akin to. Leandro Caldemora at Carlos Morales. Yes.
Wow.
Leandro Leton.
Ay, alam na alam.
Yung mga kapanahunan. Oh my God.
True. Ito talaga si Pietro. Mas mabenta to, Pietro. Promise. I swear. Ito naman, very ano naman to.
Rainbow Sunset yan.
Rainbow Sunset. Yeah.
Halabuhayin daw natin. Oo naman, bakit hindi? Charot.
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not?
Sino si Dante Ponce? Curious lang ako.
Tatay ni Jerome Ponce? Charot.
Hindi, it's yung comment ni Frank Tequero na he wants to see Ian Veneracion and Dante Ponce.
It's not coming up.
Tapos Ponce pa yung surname, tapos yung tatay niya, anak niya si Jerome Ponce. Ooh!
It's nice.
I don't know
who he is.
Yes. Diba?
I think there was another... There's another actor that I want to see again. I forgot what his name is. But I think it's Midnight Dancers.
Soxy to pa.
Nico, pwede si Dante Ponce. I just googled him. Pwede.
Yep. Comment ni Franter dito.
It comes...
there you go. Ayan na. Nakita ko na, sorry.
I just googled Dante Ponce. Grabe. Pwede nga.
I need to see that. Wait.
Uy, pwede!
Di ba? Pwede.
Oh, yes! Yes! The flavor.
Kasi Ian Veneracion pa.
Pantiquero.
Yes.
I love.
Papi Chulo. Yes. Mama. Gusto mo yun?
Daddy feels. Correct.
Oh.
You know.
Parang choke me daddy. Ganon.
Oh my God! Scala Towers.
Yes. Malapit na mag-12 kasi.
Wait. Dante Ponce was a contemporary of Calvin Milano. He was in Palibasa Lalaki before. Now he's the model in that. Yes! Yeah. No. It's not. Was it Centrum? Centrum Silver. With the 4 basketball players.
Yeah.
That's them. He's one of them. He's the main guy. Yes, that's true. That's why that's familiar.
Okay. Yes.
With Dante Ponce, feeling ko talaga tatay to ni Jerome Ponce. I'm telling you, Mikey.
Tatay na ba talaga to? Totoo ba?
Chismosa lang tayo.
Hanapin nga natin.
Dante Ponce. Okay.
How about Sanjo Merudo?
And Sam Milby. Hindi, pangit. Never mind.
Wala na tayo. Si Empoy daw tsaka si Bento.
Uy, grabe.
I guess it depends on the
Okay na.
story. I guess
It depends on the story. If you make the story good.
I mean, I would watch it.
Bakit kita, 'di ba? Si Empoy 'yun, 'di ba?
Kita, you're right. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it's the story, really. It's the story that will make the film or the series.
The world go round.
Na-imagine ko nga, alam mo yung if you've seen the McDo commercial with the big guy, yung love story with the big guy na kulot-kulot, if you've seen that. I think it's titled Space. Parang I wanna see a BL version of that. Kasi ang cute ng kwento na yun.
Right. I'm sorry. Well, remember that this ad talking about BL, was it Smart or Globe?
I think it was Smart.
Nung inaamin sa dad niya, na dad was the military guy.
Oh, wait, that's
no.
green yung logo. Green yung logo. That's Smart, I think.
Smart, okay.
Tama ba?
I know there was a commercial wherein the guy was he was gay. He had a boyfriend, and he wouldn't accept his dad's Facebook request.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
that's the one.
Smart.
I think that's Smart.
Oh, Smart, diba? Tapatan natin ng Globe Studio. Smart Studio.
Oo, Smart nga. Smart yun.
Yeah. Pagpatuloy mo yun.
Ang panglaban ng Globe Studios doon is the hashtag, this is why I roam in Bangkok. Pero mas heartfelt yung kwan. Mas heartfelt yung sa Smart pa din.
Totoo.
Siyempre.
Smart pa rin. Yeah. True. Wait lang. So, before we end our session, usapang ads, di ba? Kumusta naman ang ad ng RC Cola, di ba? Gusto mo yun?
Oh my God. I mean, that threw me for a loop. Like, I was expecting that it would go one way. It went the entire opposite direction. Alam mo yung
I know. Not to spoil anything, pero I thought it was going Jollibee, then it flipped so 360.
If you haven't watched it, you should watch it because you will never figure out what's gonna happen next. Like, seriously. I mean, it was only a crazy person or a genius would come up with something like that.
Right.
Yes,
Professor Nape.
Amp. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng amp ulit? According to... Hindi, meron daw. Blank my problem.
Yes, exactly.
Acronym siya.
Hindi siya amp. Ako rin eh. I just found it out this morning. Nabasa ko somewhere.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
RC Cola all the way. Yes.
A meeting place. Ampule. Adobe Media Player. Charot.
Hanapin ko nga.
Meme siya or something.
I'm looking for Urban Dictionary.
Before tayo mag-end ng session, ibig sabihin ng AMP. Diba?
Correct. Ang puta.
Ampot. That's the one. That's the colloquial meaning. That's what people thought daw eh.
Sa atin yan eh. Pero it's a millennial AMP text meaning.
Adrian Vergara, where are you? Oh, there. Ain't my problem, amp.
Ayun. There you go. Ain't my problem.
I guess it depends on what context you want to use it in. I mean, you can use it as the amputa, or the ain't my problem. Yeah, I guess.
Pero mas gusto ko pa rin yung ampute.
Ako rin.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I like that better.
Pero ang weird nung, tama Mikey, ang weird nung context ng kunwari, ano ba usually mga eksena na nagsasabi tayo ng amp? Kunwari, ayan, RC Cola, di ba? Tapos biglang lalagyan mo ng ain't my problem. Parang ang weird ng konteksto mo.
Yeah.
So
it really does depend on it. Yeah.
May tanong si Professor Snape, which is better writing daw? RC Cola or script ng Ben X Gym?
Oh my God.
Okay, so shoot. The thing is, number one, I mean, I can't really. You mean it's apples and oranges? You can't really compare the two. Because number one is a series. Number two, one is just a 30-second commercial, right? So those entail two different types of writing. Number two, we can't really compare the genre as well, because one is a BL and the other one is um, a marketing ploy or a marketing piece, right? And marketing, as we know, can be as outrageous, absurd as it can be, which means that in terms of the creative process, it's an entirely different thing. And they're going for an entirely different goal as well. So that's my third thing. It's going for an entirely different goal. So I wouldn't really compare the two in terms of writing. Per se, the RC commercial per se, I thought it was hella crazy. I thought it was hella fun. And for that, I give it, I don't know, a 10?
A 10? Pero ano?
I mean, I will remember it for life.
Yes,
so
me too.
I mean, in terms of its effectivity,
it
effective. I mean, it hit it. So that's why I'm giving it a 10. But I can't compare it to a BL.
Tapos ang line pa niya, parang byline or parang how do you call that? Tagline rather. Parang wala nang rason-rason pag uhaw ka, masarap ang RC Cola. It makes sense. Parang you don't have to ask the reason. Pag uhaw ka na, uminom ka na. Charot.
And you don't need logic for you to be able to enjoy or appreciate a cola, especially on a hot, sunny, humid, wet day. You know. Oh, hi, Gus. Oh my God, Gus, we're about to end.
Hey,
but if you wanna put in your comments,
put in your comments, Gus.
Yes, we wanna hear what you say.
We wanna hear. But we're still discussing about RC Cola. We'll wait.
We're talking about RC Cola. And if you also wanna put a rating from 1 to 10, what would you rate it? You know?
Yes.
I see a
would you be open to have a BL in that RC Cola genre?
Huh?
Oh my God. I don't know how. Relevance would be out the window. I mean, like,
it's that
realism,
crazy.
Suspended.
It's that surrealist. Yeah, it's that surrealism.
Would
you be open to that kind of BL?
Yeah. Pero like sabi nga ni David, parang it's creepy and unique eh. But tumatak sa isip natin eh, 'di ba? Hindi natin makakalimutan yung ad na 'yan. Yeah, and I think that's the strategy now ng mga ad agencies. Go crazy, go absurd. Kasi you can't be so safe now for you to stand out, 'di ba? RC Cola eh, 'di ba?
Yeah. I mean, it provides you some sort of shock factor, right? And if the goal is really to be noticed, then it did that. I mean, it did the job. So it was very effective in that way. But going back to what you guys said about having an outrageous BL, I mean, in terms of other genres, I mean, we've seen outrageous movies, and I've immediately thought of Quentin Tarantino because the movies that he makes are sort of like very not outrageous,
gory,
but it's more like, well, it is gory sometimes.
It is.
Depending on the movie, right?
Yes.
I think thematically ganun talaga siya pala. It is a lot of gore and shock factor, right? But then you also have that sort of like outrageous or ridiculous and maybe even like out of the ordinary sort of like plot lines and scenes and execution. Alam mo yun? So, I mean, if you put that into a BL, I guess it could work. But I would have to say that the writing, the directing, and the acting would have to be on point. Because it takes very little for that to go from interesting and awesome to like campy and corny. You know?
Delicado,
Yes. And you have to have a really, really smart and really experienced
and
intelligent crew and director to be able to pull that off.
True.
Yeah, pati editing. Your editing should be superb then with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Diba?
Uy, alam, super, ando na naman ako sa sa argument na blue curtain argument natin, mama, na Sabi ko, baka may ibig sabihin yung baso, may ibig sabihin yung yellow, may ibig sabihin, as in, andun na ako, pero hindi talaga eh. It doesn't make sense.
You're putting too
Nagagalit
much
ako.
meaning in there.
No, it won't make sense no matter how much you put into it. I thought of that too, but no, I had to drop everything afterwards.
Pero grabe, no? Kasi
Guys,
medyo...
I think Gus is, I think he thinks that we're asking him to rate the RC Cola video.
Hindi talaga.
He got more intrigued by the RC Cola rate.
Sorry na.
He got more intrigued by the Cola rate, the Cola commercial than the, yeah. What's Osan's love story? What's that? Yung kay Frank.
There's
I don't know. I don't know.
Nonetheless, okay.
Oh, it's Japanese. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Osan's Love. It's the name of the series.
Okay. O, asa na si Olan? Charot.
Oh, nasa na si Olan? Balik tayo kay Olan. Yeah. How about, if we talked about Olan a while ago, how about Sienna? Would you like to see her in more shows, in more films?
I like her.
Actually. I mean, she's, she's a blonde here, but I think in terms of her acting to fit the role, I think she did it really well. She did it really well. I mean, we've seen her be a little bit bitchy. We've seen her nice. Maybe in terms of the frustrated, angry, was a bit. It could be improved, but I think she has that range. I mean, she just needs maybe the proper guidance, the proper directing, or maybe even a more exposure.
Right.
But there's definitely potential.
I want her in dramas eh. Parang gusto ko yung umiiyak siya. Yung tipong...
Kaya niya, no?
Oo, feeling ko may ganun siyang elemento. Like, family or ano ba? Parang mag-OFW siya or something. Mara, hello, love, goodbye. Pero distressed all this time. Parang mga ganyan. Feeling ko
Sarah Edwards. Sarah Edwards, if you're listening.
Feeling ko kaya niya. I like her.
Yeah, I've shot her before. I mean, I took her photos before she went into show business.
Really?
Talaga?
When she was really young. When she was really young pa. Yes.
Kaya pala sinasabi mo siya. Okay.
Yes. And just really, parang she's really sweet too. She's a really sweet girl. So nakakatuwa na she has her big break finally. Because I know she wanted to go into this world noon pa.
Okay.
Wait, can you go back to that? Frank Tequero, 1209. He has also that confidence, just more workshop and exposure. Yeah, I mean, there are some scenes where he is a bit awkward, but you can see the potential there as well. And when he is being sort of like this funny, off-the-cuff kind of guy, I think that's his element, because I think that's his personality. I mean, we are best when we are most comfortable, right? So if we are playing ourselves, basically, then it's more natural. So yeah.
Pero I like the end scene nila ha, yung that sweet moment and no dialogue when he was assisting. In that moment, from the start to the end, the yakap to the ride to the bike, that was a really good scene without any dialogue.
True.
Right.
Oh, pero ito, mag-way in talaga ako. Ipapasok ko na naman ang beauty pageant dito, ha?
Sige, go, push.
Kasi parang, I think, sa mga sinama natin dito, alam mo, nag-guess na natin, I mean, we talked about Crystal, right? I said Crystal can go for any beauty pageant. She has the facial features, the structure of the body, diba? Alora, also, I said, parang, hey, you have a good register on screen. Alora. You're good. I mean, you can go a long way pagdating sa beauty pageant. See Sarah Edwards, diba?
Yeah, Sarah Edwards.
I don't see her in a beauty pageant. I see her in acting. Oh, that's my... baka kasi parang sinasabi...
Nico is God.
Pinapasok ko sa beauty pageant.
Yes.
Hello. Nawala ka for like a second or two.
Yes.
How about now?
Okay now.
It's fine.
So yun nga, parang I don't necessarily push anybody just because pretty to any beauty pageant. Parang may structure yung mukha eh, 'di ba? So I mean it's off the topic, but Sarah Edwards is for acting. Yun yung peg ko for her. For beauty pageant,
Yeah, I guess it takes a certain kind of bearing or a certain kind of what do you call that? Yeah, I guess that's it.
It has to do with their demeanor, how they carry themselves, how they answer questions.
Although, I mean, probably we haven't seen her outside of the series because with Alora, we talked to her face to face. I mean, we were able to interact with her as her, and we haven't been able to do that with Sarah. And I don't think I've seen her in any interviews, so that's why I don't know how she comports herself, right?
Yeah.
But it is very possible that she can be or she can fit that mold. Maybe we just need to see her in a different light or ang tawag doon? Setting, I guess. Pero, I mean, initial thoughts, I think, yes, she is definitely an actress. I would see her probably doing her own GL if she's open to that.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh, pwede.
Diba?
Pwede.
Oh, diba? Nanay Elma. Charot.
Grabe siya.
Itawid natin sila. Parang, hi, Camp Avenues.
Like Gus has an interesting parang plot line. A rich heiress that suddenly becomes poor and then tries to navigate.
Pwede.
Yeah, definitely.
Pwede.
I mean, her diction
ko yan.
is pretty much on that spectrum, diba? Yung parang anak mayaman. I mean, the way that she talks anyways. So yeah, I can definitely see that for her. And it would be a challenge, I guess, because it's hard to be in or put on the skin of someone that you haven't really lived as. So that would be really a good vehicle for her, perhaps.
True.
Then pasok Olan.
Si Olan. So natin GL.
Olan
she meets suddenly a girl.
But I mean, Olan can be the tambay. What?
Oo.
Sorry.
Or Olan's the good best friend.
Pwede. And then eventually she realizes na parang, oh, I'm actually a bisexual. And
yes. I'm falling for this other girl. She happens to be a nurse around the area.
But Pietro, it's more Yana Flo daw. Yana Flo.
Yes, laban yan.
Yung nurse na si Kwan, si Flo.
Oh my God.
Sikat galang.
True.
Guys, what's that gym monologue from 2015-16?
The end. The one you're reading a while ago. I think he needs a translation in English.
Oh, okay. I put it in the chat. We're able to translate it, but we can try.
No.
Okay. Luca. I guess from Europe. So just to translate it very roughly, each. Nahirapan na. Mas okay yung translation ko kanina. Parang feeling ko mas okay yung translation ko kanina eh. But I'll read it in Tagalog first. I guess it will help me if I read it in Tagalog first. So the lines are, ang bawat importanteng araw para sa ating dalawa, ang bawat panahon na ninanamnam natin, ang pagsasama. Lahat yun nasa utak ko, nasa puso ko. Kahit gaano man kahaba ang panahong lumipas, o nawala, o nasayang, hahabulin ko, iipunin ko. Nawala ako at nahanap mo ako. Nalito ako, pero nilinaw mo sa akin ang lahat. Kaya kahit saan man ako makarating, kahit gaano katagal man ako naglalagalag, uuwi at uuwi pa rin ako sa'yo. So parang every moment or every day we are together, I cherish them. All of them are in my mind and in my heart. So no matter how long time passes, or lost, or wasted, I will chase after it. I will gather them, those memories. I was lost and you found me. I was confused, but you clarified things for me. So no matter where I go, no matter how far I wander, I will come home and keep coming back to you. Something like that.
Yes!
Oh yes. And Bicolano naman daw.
Parang the same
Ay,
effect.
Bicolano? Oh my God. Kada sarong aldaw, nagkairiba kita.
Push mo yan.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Push my king.
I'll put it in the tweet. I'll just tweet it. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, wait. Mike S says the monologue was Jim's goodbye to Ben.
Before, back then.
Oh!
Diba?
Oh my god, it gives me a totally new
It is why Ben
perspective.
made the date Wi-Fi password as a reminder.
Oh
diba?
my god.
Oh my god.
I am feeling things right now.
Mike S, you brought a different perspective again.
Mike S, how do you know? Can you tell us that direct told you?
Did direct easy tell you?
But that makes sense.
It does.
Oh my god. It was his declaration of love without him knowing that it was that kind of love. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I need to watch the episode again. Kasi parang minadali ko lang talaga kanina eh. Parang okay, sige, let's go live. Char. Hello, umiiyak si Mikey.
No. But, oh my God.
Char lang.
I just felt something. I just felt some things. I mean,
grabe, no?
Oh my God, that clinches it for me, I guess.
Oh, okay na tayo, no? Okay na tayo.
Oh
we're good. We're good.
I have a very important. Oh, Gus has a very important question. Yes, Gus.
I think that's the answer.
June 6, 20. But wait. Well, yeah. I mean, June 6, 2015 was, according to my guess, was the date when Jim and his dad Kevin moved to Davao, and I guess that's also the date when the parents moved abroad. So that's basically the date when they separated. And the monologue at the end was Jim's sort of like love letter or farewell letter to Ben.
So it's the date that they left, diba?
It's probably the date that they left.
Yes.
But 2015 though is not that too far away.
It's 5 years.
5 years. Were they apart for 5 years? I thought they were apart for much longer than that.
Yeah, sabi nga ni Rafi Rillo, then Jim moved to Davao 2012, not 2015.
Yeah. Direct, I have some questions.
Direct, easy, we have some questions.
But I'm sure it is a monologue by Jim to Ben, or it is a letter or love letter or a dedication of some sort. But yes, Direct has to clarify. Direct has to clarify this date for us, you know.
Nalito po ako, Direk. I'm confused lalo, Direk. Tama na.
While we're trying to figure it out, no. Here's another. Siguro super last na talaga to, no, kasi mag-alauna na, no.
Oo nga eh.
We're running like 3 hours now.
Almost 3 hours. Yeah.
Here's David Ako's comment. Can you guys talk about your condition?
Oh, there.
Very important din to. Sorry, we left it out.
I guess I want to go first because we've talked about this before. I think in a previous episode wherein we talked about mental health, right?
Yes,
and about suicidal tendencies. So I feel personally that I'm not the best person to be able to answer that, or to provide, let's say, any form of advice or any form of what do you call that? Informed decision or opinion about that. But I guess if I need to, I would say that number one, Leo actually needs help, right? And I said in a previous session that Leo needs help not just from Ben, but from other people around him, especially his mom, because his mom is his blood. And as a mother, she should take the initiative to find ways to be able to help her son. Right. And I felt, and I said at that point that Ben has to also pull away from that. He needs to get out of that. I know that people might say, but he's the only one who can help him. And Flo said as much, right? But then there is that cycle that is actually has become vicious and has become abusive, diba? Because Ben has already helped Leo as much as he can, and he moved away because he became it became a toxic relationship. And now, if he goes back into that cycle of abuse and pity and Leo, then of course it's just gonna let's say perpetrate the behavior, because it's the same thing, but nothing has changed. You move away, you come back, you move away, you come back, and still the same situation. So that's why I said that it should be the mom or somebody else. Maybe an intervention, maybe he needs to be committed, maybe he needs to be psychoanalyzed, maybe he needs to be diagnosed, but something else needs to happen for that cycle to be broken. Now, in this episode, the mom talked to Leo, and I don't know if that was enough for me. I felt that it wasn't enough because the conversation seemed to be just like any other normal conversation. Like there was nothing to sort of push Leo to change his decision or to change his behavior, right? But in any case, it happened like that. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I felt that there should have been more of an intervention.
Right.
Maybe the mom should have showed up with other people. Maybe.
Yeah, I was hoping for that actually.
Something else.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to become a phone call pass.
Right.
Parang I wanted it to be more physical. Na you would see the emotions. So I think that's why it felt so impersonal. It felt so ordinary because you didn't see the expression in the mom. You didn't hear the hugot in their voiceover. You didn't hear the struggle na please son change. Parang ganon. You didn't get that tone. And although maganda yung sinasabi niyang words na you are not okay and take the first step and blah, 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 blah. But the first step is actually from Leo. She said it, but Leo didn't affirm it yet. And that's what I'm scared about.
A violent trigger. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how that could have been better handled, but for me, it seemed like it was what do you call that? Glossed over or just
exactly.
Yeah.
Ako naman, Mikey, parang okay, sorry. I'll have to bring up Tharn type here again. Ayan. So Tharn type basically tackled rape there, like consent as well, but it was not really reconciled fully towards the end. Parang it was just patched up with the idea of compassion and romance, and then that's it. At least sa akin, that's my experience. To me, kasi like mental health is really a serious thing. You can't just tackle it and then leave it like that, diba? It has to be like reconciled at some point. Kaya sabi ni Mike S, parang it's a dangerous like scene. You can't just show a scene na reconcile siya by talking to to his mom over the phone, right? So, sa akin lang parang kasi pinag-uusapan natin the last time, right? Parang how could they have handled it? Dapat ba mangialam si Ben dun sa situation? To me, this is my take, and I'm trying. I would like to depart from the scene and make it more realistic. Like, what if it happened to you? To me, here's my take: don't take it too lightly, right? But don't take too much responsibility if you are not even an expert, right? So if you're not sure about what you're gonna do, right? If you see somebody break down and you don't know exactly the appropriate intervention, just like what Mike said, like be educated enough to find hotlines for you to direct that person to an expert. Because we have available hotlines now, and I guess it boils down to being educated about mental health, right? And to me, we have to know the right, not necessarily the intervention. We don't have to practice it. We're not licensed to practice anything, right? We just have to direct somebody to an expert, like a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, for example. Call a hotline. Be there for that somebody. Because suicide is not like a joke. Like, what if somebody tells you, I want to jump off the building, right? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, ano ba yan? Joke ka naman Hindi pwedeng ganun. Kasi hindi mo alam kung ano tumatakbo sa isip ng tao right? So dito kasi, it was taken quite lightly, not quite, too lightly, that hey, talk to your mom, and then that's it. Parang really? Parang,
and the way that their mom responded was parang pagalit pa. So she felt it felt triggering. So parang if I were in her in those shoes, ibabato ko yung telepono back at Ben.
Right.
Honestly. Parang I would have you continue muna before I speak.
So yun parang yun na yung last take ko. Parang whenever you encounter something like that, parang don't even debate in your head as to what you're gonna do. Like, don't say, will I help the guy or not? Help the guy. Pero ang question is, will you be able to help really the guy? Because if you can't, if you're not an expert, then do something else. Like, direct him to somebody else. Like, do something. Don't just... Kasi tayo very ano tayo we always fall under the resiliency argument na we caution ourselves as being resilient. Okay lang yan. Naku, sintu-sintu lang yan. Wala lang yan. Ano lang yan. Nag-iinarte lang. Di ba ganun usually yung argument But mental health is a serious thing. We have to acknowledge that firsthand. And secondly, we have to acknowledge the fact that we're not totally experts. Di ba?
Yeah.
So we don't know what to do exactly. Then help doing anything there. Kasi delicate yung situation, di ba? Parang it's a dangerous situation. Then direct that person to somebody else who's an expert. Yun lang.
Yeah, absolutely.
Parang if you're gonna be in that situation, I would suggest especially if you want to prevent like a jumping off, listen to what he's saying and try to redirect his attention to something else that he's more into something. Parang while you're calling on to a person, asking for help na very intellectual about it, try to redirect. Kasi kawawa ka naman, for example, ako, and you're trying to save a life, then you see him jump off. Parang ang sakit sa konsensya rin nun.
Super.
Kasi you were there and you couldn't stop it. Parang those are the moments na and I'm thankful for the people who I spoke to when I fell into that kind of deep hole. So thank you very much. The support system is there. And it really starts from within you. That's why I wanted sana talaga to see the mom physically there.
Yeah.
In the shot. If not the mom, kaya I was hoping it would be Flo. If not the mom or the dad, parang si Flo in a medical gear. Na yun pala, nurse pala si Flo ng isang medical institution. To link all the characters. Kaya, and that's the reason why she understands Leo.
Okay, that's
why.
It
would have tied in together.
Actually, exactly.
That's actually a good thing. Yeah. Pero yun nga, parang I think one of our in one of our interviews, I think it was Leon Eustaquio from Influencers the series.
Yes.
He said that who studies psychology, I think.
Yes.
And also he wants to play like a character with mental health issues. So I think that this could be a good topic or a good kind of I don't know, not necessarily a BL series, but a good like a platform.
Yeah, it's it's like what Korean. Yeah, it's like what the Koreans have done. It's okay not to be okay. So
true.
If we have a counterpart or something similar to that, that would be great too. But they would be treading in dangerous waters. So
very true. It could be triggering for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
So that's why I'm not entirely sure what level of mental, let's say, condition people are willing to go. But I would definitely want to see a series that tackles mental health issues and in a way that is sensitive, in a way that is not triggering, and in a way that includes those who have mental health issues, who include them in the conversation as well.
Right.
Especially during this pandemic, diba? Parang we are all experiencing heightened sensibilities or heightened emotions, and we're all, mentally somewhere, right?
Yes.
But it's not necessarily in a good somewhere, So it is very important for us to be able to talk at least about these issues, and if it can be put in maybe an episode, and then there is some form of, let's say, at least first responder kind of thing, or initial help kind of thing. That would be really helpful, because I think one of the things that people probably don't understand is that we are all suffering from some sort of mental health condition. Yeah. Sometimes we don't see it, or sometimes we don't know how to label it, or sometimes we are able to label it, but then we ask other people, and other people say, na hindi, nag-iinarte ka lang para sa burgis lang yan. No shade. But there are people like that. So, it's very important that they are made aware that yes, you may be suffering from such,
Mhm.
and you may want to contact this number because you may want to talk to these people
Right.
about it. You know, I mean, maybe starting off that kind of conversation will enable other people to really evaluate themselves
True.
and to maybe give them that push to at least talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah. Or
I
parang if this will be the series with the minimal things that they would need to do, I would have liked na. I was thinking of a series way how to reconcile this. Like Ben passes the phone to Leo, then you hear the hotline number, yung triggering that hotline number, yung intro spiel ng hotline number. Like you called blah 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 blah. This is the mental health blah.
Could have been.
We are here. We are here to help. Then mute everything. Concentrate on Leo, the actor, and you'll see the emotional change of his face. And I think that would have said it all, without any dialogue.
Right. Okay na yun.
I like what Katrish said. If they would discuss mental health as part of the series, I think they could discuss types of depression, work, family, peer pressure, and society at the time of pandemic. That's very true. And one of the biggest things for me is that you have to be able to put an adjective or a label to what you are feeling.
Yes.
Because if you're not able to identify, not a label. If you're not able to identify what it is that you are feeling, then you won't be able to identify what you need to do or how to address it. Because, diba, for example, if you're sad and you don't know why you're sad or you don't know that you're feeling sad, and then people ask you and you just say, yeah, I don't know, I'm just not feeling good. Not feeling good could be physical, right? Maybe do you have a stomach ache? Diba? So what if you do have a stomach ache and then maybe you eat something or you avoid cola or soda, right? You know what to do, right? But I'm feeling depressed. Okay, so when we reach that level, when we say I feel depressed, then you need to talk to someone about it. You need to be able to, let's say, have that conversation with someone wherein they say, okay, since you feel that you're depressed, what is making you feel that way? Because sometimes if you're not able, well, not sometimes, but when we are not able to identify what we're feeling, we won't be able to identify the cause of it. And if we're not able to identify the cause of it, we won't be able to identify the solution or the action to manage it. So it's very, very important. And, having those conversations may help people to be able to at least start thinking about identifying what they're feeling. Yes.
True. And that's a way to really empathize. And I think empathy and a feeling of having someone there to support them would really go a long way, right? Like what I do, like for example, if somebody tells me I'm depressed, it's used loosely these days, right? Uy, depressed ako. I would ask, tama, sabi ni Mikey parang you'd ask, well, what makes you depressed? What is exactly what you're feeling? Is it just sadness?
What triggers it?
What triggers it, right? Ang next kong question dyan, gano'n nakatagal to? And how long has this been? Has this been like for 2 weeks now, consecutively? Para pag sinabi lang sa akin, if that person tells me na, today lang, or kahapon, and then today parang okay lang. Well, okay, that's just sadness. That's just an emotion. Because if you talk about depression, it's just, it's a complexity of emotion. It's a condition. It's not just a condition. It's not just your status now or your emotion. So yun, adding to what Mikey said.
Yeah, to piggyback on Nico naman, piggyback. If you're talking about clinical depression, because I know someone, na they would answer you, right, going to the line of your questioning, na parang, if you ask them, how long have you been depressed? They would say, I don't know. Parang, how long has it been you've been depressed? So it's been years, months. So medyo, that's another sign na parang, it's not the ordinary depression. Then,
it's
chronic. Right. And when you ask the person, like, what are you feeling? Can you control it or not? Ang sagot sa akin was, Kuya, the problem is, I want it to stop, but I can't. So it's a different level. That's a different level. So with those kinds of people, you need to understand empathy. You need to have empathy with those kinds of people. Because with them, it's like they're fighting with themselves. They want to stop their depression, but they cannot. It's like if Leo was borderline that's why he's always angry. Because he can't control his own anger because he's depressed. If Leo was that kind of depressed. So they need understanding somehow because they're triggered for every little thing that they're depressed on.
That's right.
And some of them, they need pills, kumbaga, or medical, they need medicine talaga to control. And then, no, medicine talaga to control the hormones kasi it's hormonal.
Yeah.
Oh, like
part of it is hormonal,
like prescriptions, diba? When you go to a
they need
psychiatrist,
prescription. They need yung parang ganun para makontrol yun.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we do pa, we ask them, if you can you control it? Sabi nila, if kaya pa na mental stability nila, some of them won't ask for prescriptions, but if they can, not talaga, they would give na talaga.
Yeah.
So it's a different level, especially when you hear those words na, Kuya, I want it to stop, but I can't. Parang it's heart-wrenching. It's super heart-wrenching.
Ito pa, like adding, siguro before I turn you over to Mikey, parang, di ba, if you look at Leo as the character, he seems to be strong and okay and confident. And, di ba, parang okay siya eh. Pero in the end, hindi talaga eh, di ba? So sometimes, whatever you see, like, at face value, it's something that you need to evaluate eh. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, ay, ito, di ba, ang reaction ni Ben doon, parang, may sakit kasi siya eh. Parang, it was like taken too lightly, I guess. Na parang just because he can stand there, he can get inside the house, and then he can act strong, he can be aggressive, diba? That doesn't necessarily mean that he's okay, that he's functioning, diba? Baka hindi niya control talaga yung sarili niya, kaya siya nagiging ganun, diba? And I guess it boils down to being aware and educated then at the end of the day, na, diba?
Yes.
You have to be aware of these things, mental health, how to approach them, first aid approach, no? Sabi nga ni Mikey, yun.
And I think that's that's one of the things that was also sort of like shown in this series is that when people are experiencing mental condition, they tend to latch onto one thing, or in this case, one person, and they feel that they cannot survive without this person. So parang, I mean, that's one of the things that I feel parang is a byproduct of depression. Na parang if there is one person who sort of like showed you care, showed you love, took care of you, parang they become your entire existence, such that you cannot see life without them. Hence, if they were to leave you, then your only two courses of action would be, number one, get that person back, or there's no more need for life, you know? So, alam mo yun, yung mga ganong bagay na parang, we need to have more conversations about this. Yung 3Ds, di ba? Yung tatlong D ng Brouhaha.
Yes,
guys. Get them D's, guys. David daw. Discourse, dialogue, and discussions. You know, parang those things.
Yes.
The bigger the D, the better.
Pero David Aiko, thank you so much for opening up or bring up that issue, no? Because it's very important also. Although naset aside na namin, but good thing that you were able to bring it up, no? And I think it boils down again to representation. You can't just present a very sensitive social issue just because it's a plot device and it's good for the characters, that it's good for the entire story, the flow of the story. That's why we are inviting you tomorrow, Mikey, and go.
Okay, we're inviting you tomorrow to Speakroom Plus, wherein we would be the BBS advocates or talking about queer representation in media. I think we talked about it for a while ago, wherein we discussed the 4 types of representation in media, which is non-representation, ridicule, regulation, and respect through representation. So we have 3 guests. We have Thais Estrada from the Metro Manila Pride. We have Vince De Jesus from My Extraordinary, and we have Renz Tugelida from Influencers, the series. So I hope to see you all there. And tomorrow, that's around 10 p.m.
Yes.
10 p.m. Right.
Yay.
Sorry. I was gonna say something about I was gonna piggyback off your point, but yes, guys.
Sorry
we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have a very fruitful conversation. I, for one, am very interested to know more about queer representation. I have a lot of questions about it, and as you all know, and I keep saying this as well, that I have a lot to learn still. I think that we are only scratching the surface of this entire thing, this community, and all of the issues and concerns that are at the forefront today, right?
Yep.
Just to go back to what I was going to say earlier,
Go.
and this is going to be quick though. In terms of mental health, we mentioned earlier na parang check up. I think somebody mentioned in the comment that please basically check up on your friends and your family, right? But what I want to say to that, to add to that, is that make sure that you do it for everyone, because we have a tendency to overlook or to pass over people who appear to be happy. But take note, sometimes the people with the biggest smile, with the loudest laugh, and with the bubbliest personality may in fact have some of the deepest fears, anxieties, and problems. They just don't say it. They just don't show it. So make sure that you check on everyone, because everyone may need it. That's it.
Yeah. To end this, maybe I'd say just let's repeat the character Flo's words. That the truth is the only force as powerful as time. So, given that, we should own our own truths and parang be brave enough to share our own truths as well. Because if you don't do that, you'll be stuck in a shell.
Yes. Well said.
So don't forget to follow and subscribe our social media accounts. It's in Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. It's Brouhaha V Squad or at Brouhaha V Squad. So hope to see you there. You can follow our individual accounts down there. So if you like us, please hit subscribe, like the notification button. And I'm Lance. Above is Mikey. Below is Nico. And we're out and proud.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, 10 p.m.
See you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe and love each other.
Yeah.
Bye.